This LPL Pro presentation is proudly brought to you by Star Insurance.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from SkyCity Sky Tower. That's right, let's play live. The Star Insurance Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship. We are back. Season 2. My name's Brendan White and I'm joined by the brains in commentary, Simon Chapman. Simon, welcome back for Season 2.
Thanks, Brendan. It's awesome to be back for Season 2 here, Project Cars. I'm really excited, eh?
Bit of nerves going on.
Yeah,
There's 16 races that are probably really nervous right now as well in the lobby waiting, but last year, it was our first year in. We saw some really, really good racing. What was it from you, coming from a general, I guess, a motorsport background, being out on the track every weekend to seeing it really online live?
They call it a simulation, but once we actually got into the studio, it wasn't actually too different from on-track racing. Maybe the damage wasn't on, but these guys were racing hard and close, and it was really fierce, tight battling going on. Using the slipstream, having to take care of their tires as well. So, people think it's a game, but it's actually a simulation. It's just like real life.
And the game has heated up for Championship 2. There's a lot of changes we're going to see out on the track, and tonight we're going to Mike Pero Motorsport Park. So one thing, we've got New Zealand on the cards, finally. So that's good. The directors heard us. But before we can meet the drivers or we can see the tracks, we've first got to say big thank you to one of our partners, Ola. So if you guys want to download this app, really simply, they're hooking you up. Simply download the app and you get your first ride, $20, hooked up by them. So they're supporting Project Cars 2 New Zealand. Get on your app store, Apple and Android, and have a look at it. So, that's cool. That's cool. We've got lots of competitions coming up. You see some things in the background here. We've got some mammoth coming up for you guys as well. But before we even do that, we've got to have a look at the tracks. We've got to have a look at this tournament. Let's get into it. It's the Tournament Explainer. So, first off, 16 races, 7 track locations. Simon, 2 races per location. It's a cutthroat championship this year, though. They've got more drivers.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Last year we only had 8 races, and we sort of lamented the fact that once a few of them dropped back, there wasn't much of a battle, but now we've got twice the competition, and even more importantly, we've got some from Australia.
ANZ Championship. So yes, for those tuning in, either on Sky or Twitch, online, globally, there's some Australian drivers, and they're going to have some favourite tracks for themselves later on in the championship.
Yep, and we'll get into that in a moment with the key thing here, 6-week round robin to make it into the top 8, and then once we get to that point of week 7, we're going to cut the bottom 8, and we're going to have a LAN here at LPL Studios. We're going to bring all the guys in from wherever they are across the country, either from Australia or New Zealand, as far low as Dunedin or as far north as Orange in Australia. Who knows? We'll see if they actually manage to make it over here.
We saw it in year 1. We did it in the SkyCity Theatre, and we're going to do it again. So at home, you guys can come along as well in the grand final and get involved. So game settings and rules. Big changes this year. They listened to, the races. Lots of things turned on, so to speak.
Yeah, one thing that we've obviously added for this year is the damage. Last year, damage was only cosmetic, but for this year, it does actually impact your performance. So we're going to get into the car soon, and we'll be able to explain why it's important that we've actually got the damage on, because it is a little bit of a delicate car, and it is susceptible to a bit of damage, yeah, if you start banging doors. And one thing obviously to get into as well is ABS, stability control and traction control. Now some people, they might want to make it difficult for themselves and race with that off at home, but in real life this car actually does have ABS and traction control on. So here we go. It's the Ferrari 488 GT3. It's a beautiful looking car, pumping out over 500 horsepower. This car features a 3.9 litre twin turbo V8. Made its debut in 2016 at the Australian GT Championship, supporting the Formula 1 Grand Prix at Albert Park in Melbourne. Obviously won the 2017 edition of the Liqui Bathurst 12 Hour at the hands of Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes with Maranello Motorsport. So it's had a bit of success, should we say?
Bit of success, and I think it's definitely a preference. Italy, flavour of the month. It's way better than the last year's one. So a lot of the drivers are going to be practicing, and I think that's a big thing. So we've got tracks, Mike Pero Motorsport Park tonight. For those tuning in, that's in Ruapuna, Christchurch. So we've got a New Zealand track involved, and we're going to have a look at that in a second. It's going to come up right now, actually. Here we go. Track schedules for the season, ladies and gentlemen. Championship. New Zealand's on the cards.
Yeah, so week 1, we're at home. It's really good. But then obviously we're going to head straight up north into Asia. We're going to China, to Zhuhai International Circuit. Then we're heading just across the ditch for a triple header in Japan to Fuji Speedway. Then Sakito Circuit, which is actually a fictional circuit based off Suzuka Circuit in Japan. Then we head back to Sportsland Sugo, a very fast technical track, a bit like Teretonga actually in New Zealand. And then we head to Dubai, to their local track, their Autodrome Dubai there. And then obviously week 7, that's the big one. 2 races at Bathurst Mount Panorama.
Right, so we've got 7 tracks, and we've obviously got 16 races. So who are these races that are going to be watching these 7 weeks, guys? Settle in. This is a championship title fight. We're going to see who does the hard work. Last year, we saw so many people just putting in so many hours in the simulators. It was ridiculous how many hours they were putting in. The partners were coming and feeding them. So here we go. Here are our 16 competitors for the tournament ladder. And Simon, a couple of familiar names in that lineup.
Yeah, so you see there number 10, or position 10 I should say, Murphy's Law NZ. That's actually Robert Northway. He was in season 1 of Project Cars 2. And then we've got Simon Bishop, NZ, Simon B there in position 12 there. These positions obviously don't really matter a heck of a lot at the moment, obviously, because I got no points. So by the end of tonight, we'll be able to give you a bit of an idea of where the championship sits. But we've got guys in Australia, in New Zealand, you know, in Rotorua and Putaruru, Brisbane, Victoria, you know, some guys even in Orange. So for someone like Benjamin Crow, when hopefully he gets through to the top 8, he'll be able to race actually at his home track.
It's his
at
local,
Bathurst.
right?
Yeah,
Bathurst,
it's only
right,
40
yeah.
minutes down the road for him.
Yeah, and how cool is it to see an ANZ championship for Project Cars? So championship, I should say. So, you know, these guys are tuned in. They're in a lobby right now. So they're sitting there. They're waiting for qualifying. The nerves will be going for them. And before we obviously go and check out those, we're going to have a quick advert break. You guys are going to be able to get yourself some of these goodies very shortly. So stay tuned. Set yourself up. And we'll be back very shortly to check out the drivers.
The Star Insurance Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship is proudly brought to you in association with Mammoth. Crush any task. Need a ride? Thanks to Ola and Let's Play Live, we are hooking you up. Simply download the Ola app and type in the code Let's Ride to get your first ride free. T's and C's apply.
Test your limit. Drive with the fastest.
Through into the inside. Has he got it, McQueen? Will he block?
Take control.
And he gets it. Job done. Can he hold on to it?
Redefine speed.
Home straight. Who's it going to be?
Fantastic racing. Look, he is pumped. He is absolutely stoked.
Be the fastest.
This is just clinical.
Welcome back, Sky City, Sky Tower, Let's Play Live, Star Insurance, Project Cars 2, ANZ Championship. It's mammoth, that's right. Head on to the Let's Play Live HQ Facebook page. You can win a case of your own mammoth each week, thanks to Let's Play Live and Mammoth. So they're hooking it up for the next 7 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Simon, we're back, we're live. The guys are getting ready for qualifying. Mate, you know, we don't even know who's racing at the moment, so we can't say who is our money on. But Ruapuna, Mike Pero Motorsport Park, it's a historic track, 1963. That's got to be cool.
Yeah, it's a mega little track. You know, it's had a lot of history. You know, in the years that it's been around. It actually was a lot smaller when it started off. It was only about 4 corners long,
right.
And now it's, I think, 11 or 12 now. So it's had a bit of development. It's quite fast in parts, and then technical and twisty in others. And it'll really suit this Ferrari 488 GT3 that we'll get into, and we'll see that in a moment. But here we go. Here's the track. This is Mike Pero Motorsport Park down in Christchurch, our local. Ambient temperature of only 14 degrees, a track temperature of only 11, and the wind's pretty low as well, so that'll help too in terms of the downforce of this car. Track temperature being quite low means you're going to have to spend a fair bit of time getting those tyres up to temperature as well. So, you know, it's an interesting track, quite fast, as you can see there down the front straight. You head into turn 1 there, at probably the best part of 250 clicks, and you're going to go hard on the brake, and then you're into this big sweeping left-hander. So I imagine when we get into the race, there's going to be a bit of carnage down at turn 1 and 2.
Now this track at 25 laps, so they're going to get some time to get the tyre in, but that's going to really play with them as well in the sense of all these settings that have been put on for this event. So look, we're qualifying. The guys are about to get ready. We're about to have a look at the qualifying orders. They're actually going to get their first taste on it, and we're going to see the people that have been doing the homework, doing the hard yards, who is going to get the title of the Doctor for the first round of the championship. So look, here we go. Lots of people in pits at the moment. You get your first little glimpse at that Ferrari.
Yeah, gorgeous car. It's obviously powered by a V8 twin turbo. Now you're probably listening thinking, that doesn't sound like my Holden Calais. It's because it's twin turbocharged, so you know it doesn't rev quite as high. It's got a little bit of a different configuration in terms of it being a flat plane crank, and obviously the turbo sort of dulls the sound a little bit. So it's got quite a unique sound. Not many cars do sound like this. You know, the McLaren 650S GT3 maybe a similar sound.
Right.
But yeah, it's quite.
Is it a bad sound in your sort of professional opinion, being a technical man?
It's a Ferrari.
It's a Ferrari.
There's no bad sounding Ferrari. No, we're just looking here at Daniel Shields now. He's wagging the tail a fair bit in his Casper Sky backed car there. Maybe the track is quite cold, and he's just trying to get those tyres up to temperature. Just squirming around as we head through the middle section here. So we'll go for a few laps around the circuit, hopefully as soon as we see a cone go flying across the track.
Seems to be a regular occurrence at our events.
Yeah, pretty common.
Daniel Shields. Oh, look, yeah, look, they are just warming up the tyres. You can see them from going from side to side. Now, these guys have been practicing. They do know the default settings and what the limits and the capabilities are of these cars, of course. Yeah, definitely.
And one thing that you'll notice too is that they've also got traction control on it and ABS. So when you're heading into turn 1, you can just slam on the brakes, and the traction control will give you a good launch off the corners, but it's the ABS that's going to slow you right. As we see, Daniel Shields gets a little bit loose on entry there to turn 2. I actually see, if we get to a lower angle shot, you can see the mountains in the background. They're snow-capped at the moment, so clearly it is quite cold here at Mike Pero Motorsport Park.
Now, it is really cool. You know, I had a chat to the boys at Mike Pero Motorsport Park earlier on today, and I said to them, look, what does it take to actually map a track like this and do the 2D to 3D renderings? And they said 50 gigabytes of photos from Tony Cross were taken in every single element of the track. So the actual photos and logos you see out on the track is what you see when you go to Mike Pero Motorsport Park. So that in itself is pretty realistic, pretty cool. Same with the contours and the aggressive curves. So as far as realisticness goes, it's pretty up there.
Well, I've been to this track quite a few times, and I've been out there and taken a few photos, and it's quite funny. It's insane just how realistic this is. Now, I've spoken to Tony a couple of times down there. He's a local of Christchurch. He goes down to the track fairly regularly with the Canterbury Car Club. So we see Daniel Pinkham get a little bit loose there. You know, he spent weeks down here at the track just taking photos of every single element, whether it's the close-up of the curbs,
even the burnout marks. Look at that.
Yeah,
cool.
You know, whether it's the mountains in the background. You can, I hate to say it, but you can even see the prison as you're heading into turn 1 and 2 there. So, you know, the amount of detail is just insane. You know, going down the front straight, it's even got Drift South logos on it. You know, that's how realistic it is.
Now, did you research the current lap time for, I guess, Project Cars?
No,
Putting you on a spot there, aren't I, mate?
No, I don't know the best lap at the moment, but I imagine these guys, they might get close to it because the temperature of the track is low, and when you've got a low track temperature...
And hot, sticky tyres.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have a lot of grip, so you've got to find that balance. There is sort of I guess a golden zone, a Goldilocks zone that really, I guess the tyre works really well and the car works really well and the track can really grip up. So I don't know whether these conditions specifically are going to be favourable for really fast times, but if it's cool, there's a little bit of, overcast clouds overhead, that'll obviously help the times be pretty quick here. But at the moment, just watching for these guys, it's definitely taking a bit of time maybe to get these Hankook tyres up to 10.
Now let's flip it back a sec. We've talked about the realisticness of this track, Mike Pero Motorsport Park and all the contours and everything it brings. And we saw that last year as well, some amazing tracks. I can't wait to go to Dubai later on in the season. 25 laps. Let's talk about how far gaming has actually come. So for someone who's just tuning in, welcome. We are live at Sky Tower inside the LPL studios, and this is a Project Cars Championship. So what does that mean? Like, as far as if someone doesn't know what we're actually doing, explain what gaming is and explain what we're about to see. It's pretty much, for the noob. Explain it for the noob.
Well, this is the closest thing you can get to real life without being in a real Ferrari 488 GT3 race car. You can go down to the shop. If you've already got a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One or a PC, you can buy Project Cars for 60, 70 bucks and go out there and drive whatever cars you want. Here at LPL, obviously, we put on championships, and this is the second championship for the Project Car series. Last year, it was the first time we did Project Car, so it was a bit of, a few teething issues, trying to get used to sort of the platform, racing in the GT4 Ginetta. A few people didn't know what a Ginetta was, so that was obviously a little bit tricky, but putting these guys in Ferraris, cars that are genuinely quick and require a lot of talent to drive, it's really special, really.
Right, so we've talked about obviously the gaming side of it. Now, this isn't this in real life. McLaren, Ferrari, these guys all have sims, they have academies.
Totally.
Now, enlighten the viewers at home what that can actually mean to be a driver in here. Some drivers have actually gone on to be professional race car drivers just from sim racing.
Yeah, well, if you're good enough, if you can string a lap together consistently and be one of the fastest guys in the world, you can set up your own car, because that's obviously another big part of this too, is that these guys can go into the garage, the virtual garage,
right?
The e-garage, I guess you can call it. You can change the tyre temperatures, the spring rates, the dampening and the wing angles on the front and rear, finding that perfect balance, trying to understand a car.
And that's very much what the boys are doing in the pits. They're, practice days. They're going in, they're fine-tuning these cars on a real day now, I'm talking.
Totally.
To get to the point where that gives them that advantage.
Well, you're doing a little bit more than what a normal driver does. The likes of maybe Scott McLaughlin probably rocks up to the track and he jumps in his Ford Mustang GT and goes, all right, boys, let's go pump it on pole position. Whereas, if you're at home on the couch by yourself, you've got to figure out all this stuff for yourself. You've got to figure out what it actually does to the car when you change the dampening and the wing effects and things like that.
Let's loop back though, because you kind of chuck Scotty under the bus just there for a sec. But Shane Van Gisbergen, Darren Kelly, Mad Mike, these top racers are always on their sims.
Yep, they're on, and they're not just on the one.
No.
They're not just on Project Cars.
They're multi-code, multi-sport, rally, speedway.
Yep.
Obviously, Shane, he doesn't do a lot of circuit car racing because he does it in his real life.
Well, heck, I was racing Shane Van Gisbergen last night on iRacing.
Last night.
So these guys, in between races. Last weekend he was at Tasmania, and tomorrow he's got to be at Phillip Island to be racing in the Supercars Championship with Red Bull Holden Racing Team. Just in between rounds, just in the evening.
How cool is it though that you can jump on? So if you're at home and you're doing this,
I'm just a casual journo.
Just a casual journo. I like your honesty and humbleness. Now, if you're at home and you're tuning into this, there's 16 drivers. So last year we only had 8. So we're going to see 16 people come off this front straight very shortly for race 1 into this corner where a lot of people go boom over to the right into the tyre wall, just like this guy's about to do. Commentator's curse is what we'd call that at the track. And we're going to see 16 cars. So that's so cool to see, purely because I think it's under Rubbings Racing. We asked for this.
Well, I don't know if these guys have actually had a really good look at the circuit, but when you actually get there, so the front straight, they actually use for a bit of drag racing, right? So it's fairly wide.
Yes.
There's a lot of room down there.
Well, it's not only drag racing, they do it at MyPero, they do motorbikes, they do drag racing, they do speedway over the back, they've got drifting, Drift South operates there, they're about to have their final soon, like D1Zers.
Yep. But one of the issues that they've got there is because that front straight is so wide and obviously catered for drag racing and lots of codes of motorsport, When you head into turn 1, it actually narrows drastically. So these guys theoretically could be, 4 and 5 wide, because I've seen it, they've done it in endurance racing. Yeah, look at how wide that circuit is. You could easily fit.
It goes very skinny in the middle though. I'm not discounting.
So here's the onboard gear. As we head down into turn 1, you'll notice that it does narrow up a lot. And look, there's maybe only room for
and here we go, 2 wide.
A couple car widths
maybe
through there. So 3 wide at a push. But on the race start, these guys are going to be going hell for leather, trying to make up as much position as possible.
All right, so if you guys are tuning in, don't forget, get onto the App Store, download Ola. First ride's on us, so just use the code Let's Ride Ola. It's coming to New Zealand. It's the new and improved version of taking a taxi ride, and check it out. It's pretty cool and it's pretty safe and much more, I guess, nicer ride, so to speak. So look, right now we're at Mike Perry Motorsport Park. No rain in this one though.
Nope, she's pretty dry down in Canterbury at the moment, isn't she?
Well, yes, she is. But then some of these other tracks we've seen, and this is one of the bigger ones, 25 laps. The only other one that we get 25 laps out of is Sugo. Now, I don't know why, but something about Dubai just sings. Like, I always want to go to Dubai. As far as racing goes and the events they have, it has that eliteness.
Yeah, but you're going to be underwhelmed though, because it's flat. It's a very, very flat track.
Are we using the carousel in this race? We're not using the centre section, so we're using the GP section of Mike Perry Motorsport.
Yeah, so Mike Perry Motorsport Park is obviously, like I said, Dubai's flat, but this is obviously a flat track as well. But Dubai is just massively wide. There's so much room. The good thing about Dubai, the Autodrome there, is that there's a lot of opportunity for overtaking. It's not the Yas Marina circuit that you might be thinking of, where the Formula 1 Grand Prix goes to, but it's a smaller circuit that they built in the mid-2000s. So it's actually probably one of the newest circuits that we're actually going to on the calendar.
Right, so let's talk about some of these settings now, rules and penalties. So if I come up and Daniel Shields, who's currently holding the lap time while we're on board with Matthew Puck. Now Daniel Shields, if I'm behind him and I just accidentally tap his right rear wheel and it spins him, I get penalties now. Totally.
Yep.
So that could mean a time penalty, i.e. they give me 15 seconds, or could that could even be a drive-through penalty?
Yeah, and it's totally down to the guys who are in the studio behind us. They'll be watching this race. We have a driving standards observer. He'll be watching what these guys are doing. They may not necessarily penalise the drivers straight away because they have to attribute fault. So the last thing you want to be doing is handing guys penalties halfway through a race that drops someone to the back of the order, and then all of a sudden, on review, maybe it wasn't his fault. So I think these guys might look at issues maybe later, but we've just completed the qualifying. It looks like Shields is just narrowly got pole position by just 1/10 of a second. We'll look at the order. There's only 4 tenths covering the top 3. A few guys maybe not getting in a very quick time. It looks like maybe Robert Northway down the bottom there.
Really?
A few guys.
129 versus 118. So 118. So we definitely need to get your Google out and see what the fastest times are, Simon. You need to be the tech expert on this one. 118.1344 for Shields, which is it's not too bad. No points for qualifying in this championship though.
No.
So basically, what it does is for someone who's not really into racing, so to speak, it can put you in the front of the grid, right?
Yeah. So basically, qualifying is just trying to set the fastest time possible and getting to the front. It puts you in the best possible position for the race, so that you can be leading into turn 1. Hopefully nobody sends it down the inside of you and spins you out. But turn 1 and turn 2 there, it's a tricky little setup there at Mike Perry Motorsport Park.
I really do wish that we had actually, last year we were fortunate enough to actually take go-karting, and we'll touch on that in a minute with Simon. So qualifying, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is your order, Simon. Daniel Shields, the newcomer, out on top.
Yeah, only 1/10 ahead there of Kyle Madden. And then obviously down in P3 there, sorry I called it wrong earlier, Robert Northway, Murphy's Law in P3 there. He's only 4 tenths off. But then there's a little bit of a gap there down to Matthew Pluck, and then one of our favourites, Simon Bishop, down in P5 there, a second, 1.7 seconds back. So maybe the margins are a little bit big at the moment. It looks like actually Matthew Pluck might have got a 2-place grid penalty for the start of this race. So maybe an issue there.
Is it a violation? I'm not hearing what pit lane violation.
Oh, so it must have been speeding.
Look at that.
Yeah,
and they've got everything from when you come out of the racetrack, there's a little yellow line coming down the front straight, you cross over that. you're going to get penalised. There's so many different penalised. So further down the board, okay, we drop down. So a lot of these different people, 16 people, George to Sam Hunter, Shane T, and Dave Roberts. If that's old Dave Roberts from D1NZ, hello Dave, you qualified last, but that's okay, you're going to do better later. So that is your qualifying orders for round 1 of the Let's Play Live Star Insurance Project Cars ANZ Championship. Now we've got to find out where some of those Australians qualified, because we're Kiwis and we're in SkyCITY in Auckland, so it's all about the Kiwis right now, and they're getting ready actually for their first ever race. So the nerves will be there. They're in a lobby, so they are sitting at home, which is kind of good for them. So we're going to throw race 1, ladies and gentlemen, for the Project Cars Championship 2019, brought to you by Star Insurance. Who's going to get the jump? Are we going deep? Are we going to see the guys off the road? Well, Simon, you can take this one away as we get the countdown now. Daniel Shields, pole position. He's got the jump. And sometimes, like we saw last year, if you get the jump, you stay up front, you get clean air, you win the race. Yeah,
he's got the inside line into turn 1 as well, which will be a big help. But it's a standing start. We don't actually usually see standing starts in GT3 racing, so it'll be interesting to see who gets the whole shot into turn 1. Daniel Shields, pole position. He was only a 10th quicker than the man in second place, Kyle Madden.
There you go.
Robert Northway,
Mr.
P3.
Murphy's Law. So he led a lot of races early on. Look at the Drift South logos in the back there, free advertising. How about that? He led a lot of races in the last championship, but he seemed to always just chuck it away towards the end.
I think that'll be one thing that crosses his mind. He wants redemption. I don't think he was one of our winners. Obviously, with Jordan Penny, he won the thing overall.
He was untouchable. Yes,
yeah.
untouchable.
And Robert, he lamented the thing at the end. He was sort of like, if I hadn't made so many mistakes, I probably could have been winning
this
thing.
He's back for vengeance. So that is one of your dark horses. Well, not dark horses. He's one of the one with the target on the back.
He's a favourite.
Yeah, he's a favourite, and he's got a target on his back. 16 cars across the grid. It's not very often you see 16 Ferraris on the grid at My Pero Motorsport Park. Thank you to all the boys tuning in from My Pero Motorsport Park and all the Drift South people down south. We're about to go racing with currently we're looking at Daniel Pinkham. Now that name rings a bell as well. There's some names here that have been definitely in the motorsport scene. So 16 races. Good to see you. You look on the left, that board, number 15, Rob. I'm not sure why that's sitting there. Big thanks to all our sponsors. So Simon, we can't really put any through the championship. We're going to play some bets, and we're going to play this game with everybody at home of who's your money on, and you can have your own little wagers going, so to speak. I'm just going to bank on Robert Northway for the start.
Well, I'm gonna back on Simon Bishop. He's a mate of mine, so I'm going to hope that he does well. But here goes the start. Daniel Shields from pole position. He's actually got a really bad start. Looks like Robert Northway is going to go down the inside into turn 1. They're actually going to go 3 wide into the first corner. We worried that this might happen and there might be a little bit of carnage. Do they get through cleanly? Oh, a little bit of nudging there. Daniel Shields drops back down to P2 there. Looks like Robert Northway might have the advantage here heading into pothole. They go side by side. Daniel Shields, is he going to get the lead back? Let's see who's going to hold out. Oh, this is incredible racing. We're only in the first lap, and these guys are already side by side. We've got one off in the back.
3 off in the back.
Northway covers the line. He loses the rear end of the car. Daniel Shields still side by side. This is fantastic. Only 3 corners into the race. Daniel Shields has dropped back from pole position into P2. Robert Northway currently leading the race. Fantastic start there from Northway. You called it. You said he's your favourite.
Beautiful, clean racing here for the guys that were coming off the track a lot for a start of 16 cars on the grid. This is Esports racing for New Zealand. It's the 16 top qualifiers here. My Pero Motorsport Park. Right now, Northway, I guess the seasoned vet, followed by Shields, who was our number 1 qualifier, but clean racing out there, and he's got the clean air as well. Pretty outstanding start.
Well, Daniel Shields has already got the headlights on. He's obviously trying to make a charge here, trying to distract Northway possibly as we head down into the final corner. Northway currently leads from Shields behind, and it looks like we've got a spinner down in the back there. I think that was Kyle Madden, our man who started from P2 there. So a mistake early on, lap 1 of 25, and we've already got one guy dropping to the back of the order. So Daniel Shields on the attack now. Robert Northway. Cameraman's just on something totally different.
Well, he goes for the look now. There's a slight bend coming up here. Looks for it.
Yeah, this is pothole.
Shuts the door.
Yeah, that's a tricky corner. You don't want to be overtaking there. It's
He's undertaking.
It's
beautiful hairpin here coming right round now. This is where you'd potentially switch right if you weren't doing the GP circuit. This is a beautiful drift section as well. One of the what they call the D1 section of your drifting. But Northway, He's really up on the curb there. Now, this is something to watch, ladies and gentlemen, as well. Last year, project cars, we weren't actually, you could do that. You could cut the corners, you could cut them quite a lot, and you wouldn't lose your position or get a time penalty. If they do that this year, the game recognises it, and if it's really bad, you can either get timed down 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, or you get a drive-through pit penalty. So, obviously the game's, it's taken into account a bit of corner cutting, but I guess, if you go straight through, back first, up on the top of the hill, for example.
Yeah, and there's obviously sort of a bit of discretion involved. But, Robert Northway gets really loose there. He's opened the door there for Daniel Shields. He's going to try and slide it down the inside, but Northway just gets a better run off of the corner. Daniel Shields will tuck in under the rear wing there of Northway. Try and get the slipstream down into turn 1 and turn 2. Already seeing a good battle developing here for the lead.
Flip back on that. You're saying slipstream for those at home. What does that mean, and is that something that can happen in the game?
Yeah, so think about it like this. There's air resistance when you're driving. It's a bit like when you're trying to go for a run and there's air, coming your way. You're like, I'm slowing down. This wind is slowing me down. Yep. The car in front essentially works like a shield. So the car in front creates a big hole, and then the car behind doesn't get any of that wind that the car in front is getting.
Slingshots.
So it basically has less resistance, less air resistance, and it can catch up to the car in front. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about slipstream. So Matthew Pluck, he's just sitting back here in third, watching on as Robert Northway and Shields battle here for the lead. I think it'll be interesting to see what Shields does. He's got 25 laps to play with. He's clearly just that fraction quicker. We saw that in qualifying. He was a tenth and a half faster than Northway. Northway just acing the start though, and maybe that was one thing that Northway worked on in the lead up to this, is getting that start, knowing that maybe it was a standing start for this. We don't normally see GT3 cars do standing starts because differentials aren't used to it, but it's sim racing, so mechanical failures aren't that common.
But flip that back, mechanical failures are on in this game.
Totally, but only
so
if
it's
you
not
hit a
just
guy.
Cosmetic damage we've got here. Oh, look at the Robert Northway going for the block.
Closing the door, big time.
Now, how much is he allowed to do this when it starts to take the mickey and he gets penalised? Daniel Shields going for it. Northway, will he shut the door now again? Yes. Down and on the corner, he's got the line.
See, it gets a little bit tricky, right? You're basically allowed to make one defensive move. You can go across, but then you can't go back across to the right and block him again. So you can make one big defensive move to the left and block the guy, but you can't. But if he goes the other way and you follow him, that's a
we might have some frenemies already at Project Cars.
It's really interesting. Robert Northway, it looks like he's struggling a little bit. I think for Daniel Shields, it's only race 1. He just needs to bide his time, find an opportunity. He's got the best part of 20 laps still to play with. I think it's just a matter of time before Northway makes another mistake there, because it doesn't look like he's Mr. Consistent at the moment. And it's a little bit disappointing, actually, because last year he was all about that. He said, my mistakes, they cost me a lot. I think maybe at this point, Robert just maybe needs to let him go.
Big cut there. Maybe it's just the nerves, It is game 1. It is,
it's race 1.
Championship 1. And we have $3,000 on the line as well, thanks to Star Insurance. So there's some serious money on the line, including the bragging rights in Sky City Theatre. It's all going to end here in Sky City live. We did it with the GT Championship first one, and it was amazing. There was lots of people. It was live on stage. That's where 8 people aren't going to make that though. Pit stop. Tell me about the pit stop. When would you be taking the pit stop?
Just before we get into that, it looks like Matthew Pluck is taking advantage of that slipstream there. He's got down the inside of Shields. He's been just biding his time a little bit as the cameraman still gets lost into turn 1 there. Matthew Pluck down the inside gets the spot. This is what I was talking about a little bit before. These guys in the lead were battling, and that allowed Matthew Pluck to get onto the back of them. So I think in terms of the pit stop side of things, you might want to pit early and get out of the traffic if you're a leader.
Right.
If you're a guy like Shields now who's dropped back to third now, he's got these guys in front of him who are potentially holding him up, because he was obviously a lot quicker. If he drops out of the race into the pit lane, gets a new set of tyres, does his compulsory pit stop, that means he's in fresh air and he can clock some quick laps. The only problem with that is that when guys like Northway and Pluck obviously have to go into the pit lane perhaps a little bit later, it means that they're going to, well, perhaps not. If they're in the lead, they're possibly either going to have to deal with traffic when they come out, but they're also going to have fresher tyres. So that means for a guy like Shields who maybe pits early, it could cost him a lot because his tyres won't be as good in the end. So it's...
And you've got that tyre wear on as well, and it's exhilarated in this championship as well. So it's not basically you can thrash it around, go sideways, and you're not going to wear it down. So under braking, heavy braking, flat spots, do those sort of things happen in this game?
Yeah, but for a car like this that's got ABS, it doesn't matter so much because you can pretty much just lock on the anchors and it doesn't really matter.
Right.
The ABS
which is what we saw just before.
One thing that you do have to think about too is the traction control, and that unfortunately these guys can't change the traction control settings too much.
So we off or on?
We're on.
we're on.
We're on. So, and it's probably maxed out a little bit. So we actually watch here under braking. Daniel Shields is actually going to go look, maybe try and get a pass here done on Pluck. Pluck defends. Watch on the little speeder on the right here. Is ABS going to kick in? Doesn't that time.
Slightly.
So he goes a little bit wide there. Ooh. Now that was interesting. Did he gather one of those tyres?
No, and I haven't seen anything pop up under his name as well, but was he pushed as well? We just didn't see that side camera angle.
You can be a little bit generous though. You can run them out of room, but there is obviously sort of a bit of a threshold in terms of how much room you give a guy. If you're pushing him all four wheels off the track, then the officials are going to look they're not going to look kindly on that. Right. So Shields maybe just needs to bide his time a little bit, like we were saying before. Pluck maybe just needs to be a little bit more cautious. Again, it is only lap 7.
Yeah, yes, you are right. Lap 6 to 7. He has another look now, Daniel Shields. It's like in the outside, isn't it?
Well, this is interesting too, because this battle here for second now, as we see Pluck gets really loose out of the final corner. Robert Northway's gone.
Why wouldn't he take the slipstream right now? Drag race instead.
Well, he's already got the advantage. You can see he's already managing to get past him into turn 1. It looks like maybe Shields will be able to get the advantage into turn 1, get the position, see what Pluck can do. Oh, Pluck manages to hold onto it around the outside. They're going to say 2 by 2. Into turn 3, pothole is a place you do not want to be going side by side. It's very narrow through here. Shields sticks his nose up the inside against the position. Prove me wrong. Pluck drops back down to P3 now. He got a little bit loose on the entry. That was very cheeky, especially at this early stage of the championship. So yeah, it is lap 7 now. Rumble with Matthew Pluck. He's obviously dropped back now. Shields is up into P2, and he'll be looking to catch up to Northway, who now has a 2-second advantage. Northway manages to get out.
So as far as Northway goes, if he extends that a bit more, he'll probably use that, then he'll pit.
Yeah, definitely. You probably at this point will run long. If you've got the advantage, you'll try and make the most of it. If that margin does come down to Shields behind him, he might consider pitting just to get some fresh tyres and get into some clear air again. But we'll have to see what happens. Obviously the margins further back just blowing out a little bit to the guys in 4th and 5th. But as it stands, Robert Northway, as we get onto lap 8, currently leads here at Maipera Motorsport Park. Shields in 2nd, that margin out to 2 seconds now. Pluck down in P3. I think Kyle Madden might have just been able to get up to P4 now. It looks like maybe Matthew Smith currently sitting there in 5th.
Now look at some of these times. Look at some of these times. Like you look up on the lap scores, the yellows, 1 second, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 6 seconds. But look a bit further down. 7th to 13th. Look at the time differences.
That's massive at the moment. These guys at the lead. Northway's done a 1:19.8. Shields did a 1:20.3, but Shields obviously on that last lap having to make a pass there for second. So maybe this next lap time will give us a good reference. We can see even in the first sector alone, Shields has managed to cut down half a second to Northway. So Shields obviously the man to beat at the moment in terms of outright lap time.
Now, for a viewer at home, where are you seeing that? Is that the timings up under the...
Yeah, so top left there, you've got the time sheets. That gives you a good idea of everyone's overall lap time. And it's actually interesting now, Robert Northway's he's already done a 1:19, so nobody else has been able to get into the 1:19s. Shields has done a 1:20.3, and you can see it's that first big number, and then to the right of that, Northway's obviously completed 8 laps, and then the yellow number is the gap between first.
All right, so take me into the centre here. We've got Northway there, 0.01.4, and Matthew Pluck. Now, is this the difference in the split times? Or?
This is the difference overall. So right, Shields is currently 1.3 back off the lead, and Pluck is 4 seconds back at the lead. And then you've got guys like Kyle Madden now, who's in P4, he's 4.1 seconds back. So those times will ebb and flow depending on the mistakes these guys make. But you can already see on that last lap alone, Daniel Shields look like cut in about 1.2 seconds alone on that one lap. Yeah. So he's obviously catching up to Northway. Whether he's just pushing on those tyres or Northway is on the defence, who knows? Northway goes a little bit deep, as does Shields. An unconventional line there with turn 4. Northway still leading here, but only by a little bit, only half a tenth separating these two. So it looks like we're going to recommence that battle that we had at the beginning.
All right, Robert Northway on the lead. Simon, take us through week 1, Christchurch, Ruapuna, 25 laps, strategy, pit stop, Robert Northway. In the right-hand side of the screen, we've got these little things happening, green, red. You've got obviously the acceleration. What are those? Explain those to the viewers.
So that green line that you can see that's going up and down, that's the accelerator, so that's how much they're on throttle. You can see in between gear changes that comes off, so that's the auto blip. And then on the down changes, you'll see that green possibly jump back up and that'll blip again. As you see, Daniel Shields gets a really good run out of the final corner. Robert Northway already on the defence there. We'll hopefully get to cut to the on-track cameras now. We'll see if they're going to go 2x2 into turn 1. Here they go. Shields around the outside again. Can he pull it off? Oh, really close there. Not really giving each other much room. Shields gets a little bit loose, but Northway still holds on. Northway clearly just losing a bit of time there to Shields. Shields has got a good straight line advantage. Maybe he's running a little bit less wing. There's contact. Robert Northway's done. He's gone.
Who is that? Whose fault is that, Simon?
Oh, we'll have to get a replay on that, but Northway will be absolutely livid after that. Shields has stolen the lead. I said it before, pothole is not a place you pass.
I was
it's way too narrow.
Preempt you on that one too.
It's just way too narrow through there. We saw Shields managed to pull one off earlier, but I think that time round, Robert Northway, did he close the door? That's the question. We hopefully get a replay at some point.
Oh, there we go. Yep, no, we're here in our ear. No replay of that one, unfortunately, but Robert Northway, is he giving up? Is he giving up?
He's dropped back to P5.
P5. So there's a huge disparity right now in the positions of 1 to 4 or 1 to 5 and below that. So you've seen the guys that have done the homework. These top 5 guys have obviously clearly been practicing this track and been in this car versus some of these 28s, 32s, 41s and some even a minute further down the track, further down the field.
So now we can see Daniel Shields, he's just made a massive gap there to Kyle Madden. Madden currently in P2, so now we can see Robert Northway. He's decided to come into the pits. Maybe he has a little bit of damage to his car as well. We'll see the pit stops now take place. So he's decided, well, I'll drop back. Not a heck of a lot I can do now. Might as well box, get some fresh tyres on, go out there and try and clock some quick laps.
Well, Daniel Shields has got clean air, but he is coming up to lapped traffic as well here at Maipera Motorsport Park for round 1 of the Let's Play Live Star Insurance Project Cars 2. It's an Australian-New Zealand championship. So where are our Australians, Simon? Where are our Australians on the board?
Well, there's a funny place in Australia called Orange, which is about 40 minutes west of Bathurst, actually. So Benjamin Crowe, he resides in Orange in New South Wales. We've got guys like Robert Northway, obviously he lives down in Christchurch. Daniel Pinkham, he's a native of Rotorua. And then we've got guys like Daniel Shields, who's actually from Brisbane. So he's currently leading the way. Got an Australian in the lead, I'm not sure I like that. Then we've got Matthew Smith, he currently lives down in Christchurch. Then Michael Robinson, I believe he was a regular in last season from Putaruru. And then we've got guys like Kyle Madden, another man from Brisbane in Australia. Damien Main from Victoria in Australia. Then we've got a few more Kiwis. Dave Roberts in Hamilton, Alistair Coopers in Massey. And we've got Shane Timeng from Puhoi in Warkworth. Simon Bishop, friend of mine. Great name, actually.
So just to reiterate what you just said, Daniel Shields is from Australia?
Yep.
So currently the Australian-New Zealand Championship.
Going away of Australia.
And the Australian just took out the Kiwi, one of our best hopes. But I did not see Michael Robinson. So he was in last year, wasn't he? Michael Robinson was in Project Cars last year?
Yeah, Michael Robinson. Unfortunately wasn't one of the quickest guys out there. He sort of lamented that fact. I think maybe decided get some more laps in between seasons and try and come back stronger.
I think he just said, having a chat to him offline, it was the time that you have to commit to something like this. If you want to win this Project Cars Championship, just like any motorsport, seat time, it's key.
Was he the farmer?
You've got to sit in, you've got to sit in the dairy milk, I think. Don't quote me. You've got to sit in the seat. So New Zealand Motorsport at the moment, she's pretty much nearly done for the summer motorsport season, Simon. Final this weekend for the Speedworks Series. Yep,
GDR NZ, Pirelli Porsche, all sorts of championships down at Taupō, Bruce McLaren Motorsport Park. Get your tickets, Event Finder. There's plenty going on. It's great racing down there. So qualifying and racing on Saturday, and then it's just all-out racing on Sunday down there. So Speedworks Motorsport Championship. Look it up on Event Finder.
Any Ferraris? Oh, we've got that's Simon into the pits. It wasn't.
That's that Simon Bishop.
Yep, no. Same car. It's short. Okay, so we've got that. Ola, remember. Ride for free, $20 on Ola right now. Let's ride for a free trip. So just download the app. It's much like that other company, but better rides, nicer people, and slick. So look, where were we? We were talking about motorsport in New Zealand at the moment. So we've got the final for the New Zealand Motorsport Championship, Speedworks down in Taupō. We've got Drift South, which is Mike Piero's Motorsport Park. You'll see the logos on this track. you'll see that they've got their final coming up, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to get in touch with that, I think that's happening in Easter weekend. Then, of course, you've got the grand final, the big daddy of our series, the D1NZ National Drifting Championship, only 2 weeks away down at Manfield Circuit, Chris Amon. And that's going to be the battle of the manufacturers. You got, and it's so great to see manufacturers involved with New Zealand motorsport. Ford versus Nissan, Mustang. And I've got to say, if there's, you look at these Ferraris, beautiful machines. You look at Scotty's car, then you look at Finger Dan's car, and you just feel sorry for Scotty. But, it's not chucking him under the bus. He's just got to race what he's paid to race.
It's just what the book says, isn't it?
But what about the parity there? What did supercars do to level up the playing field? The Mustangs was just taking them. Was there anything there, or is it just that they're better drivers?
Yeah, so people talk about COG and how COG
Centre of gravity is
like,
talking
like
here,
carbon emissions or something. But yeah, basically COG is centre of gravity, and what they did is they took weight from different parts of the car and shifted it to a different part of the car. So you're basically trying to get the weight from that was lower to a high position. So they put it in the roof. They put more weight in the roof. There was a bit of a suggestion that the Mustangs had about 25 kilos more weight put in, but that wasn't true, that it was just moving the weight around. So they put weight in the roof, but I'm not sure that it has neutered them that much. Shane Gisbergen obviously managed to get a really good win last weekend at Simmons Plains, but that was just outright speed and ability. That was him.
You watch the in-car, and he is a busy
monster.
man.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've got some time after we watch these races, just it'll be on his page, on his SVG page, just have a look, and he's just so busy. Very good watching.
Yeah, changing anti-roll bars, brake biases.
Yep.
Changing gears. That track only takes about 50 seconds to get around. It's a bit like Pukekohe. You're frantic. You go down these long straights, hard on the brakes, and then you're changing the anti-roll bars, stiffening the car up, loosening it up, and
not in
change
drifting.
the bias.
Not in drifting. We're
not
just
drifting, though.
200 k's an hour. So we just actually had Pukekohe there. You had a spot commentary role. So for those that follow the New Zealand motorsport scene and are into motorsport, we just had the D1NZ champs at Pukekohe. Ben Jenkins, 202 kilometres per hour, and then he clicked it sideways. No anti-roll bars there and braking, and just flat to the floor.
Just like it.
Yep, I picked up $500 for that fastest entry. It's impressive, and the funny thing is the grip we're finding in these cars, just like drifting, they're hunting grip. That's a very grippy track. And one thing we're going to be having with these guys out right now, we're up to lap 14 of 25. They're going to be finding wear on the tyres, but they're also going to be finding heat. They're going to be having grip. They're going to be able to find those limits of that car out on My Pro Motorsport Park.
Definitely, and the track's also going to rubber in as well. When you've got 20 or just under 20 cars going around this track, going through these corners, you're going to be laying down a little bit of rubber, and it's going to create a bit of a line there. So the track will grip up. These guys will obviously lose a bit of grip in their tyres as the rubber goes down on the track, but once they get a fresh set on, it'll speed them right back up again. So currently, Shields, he's got the fastest time at the moment, a 1:19.476. We're on lap 15 here at Mike Pura Motorsport Park, and he's got a massive lead of 14 seconds at the moment.
Robert Northway dropped down a position into number 6. Whether he's gone for a pit or not yet is another thing. Has he gone for a pit, Robert
Yeah, we saw him a little bit earlier.
So now Shields hasn't, though, has he?
No, we haven't seen him come in at this point, and the margins would suggest that he has not pitted at this point.
All right.
We'll just keep an eye on the margins.
So the top two haven't pitted at the moment, Simon. So Shields and 121. Not sure who the second driver is, but we're a bit further down the pack, giving some time right now to Damien Main, sitting in 10th position. Still good driving from these guys down in the centre pack, just not as quick as we'd want to see. So a bit of an eye-opener for these boys to get some seat time over the course of the next week.
Well, they'll be a little bit disappointed looking at Shields' times in the 1 minute sort of mid-range, and these guys are clocking 120s and 121. So we see Damien Main just sends it down the inside there. He'll pick up a position. Not sure who that's on at the moment. Maybe that was Northway. These guys running a couple of similar liveries. As we head through the tight and twisty section, this is a section that the cars will favour. Obviously, with a lot of downforce, that big front wing and rear wing element that you can see on those cars, that gives these guys plenty of grip in the front and rear end, and they can just go flying through these corners like they're on rails.
That was on Benjamin Crowe. So we're sitting Main and ninth in 10th position at the moment. So right behind him is Benjamin Crowe by the looks of it. 122 and 121 is the fastest. So 121 behind the leader. That's a huge gap. So we've got Daniel Pigman into the, he's number 7th at the moment. So you see 2 spots above Northway. So what we're going to see right now is 1 and 2. So they'll go to the pit. 3, 4 and 5 will pop up. So strategy.
Yeah, interesting thing to note as well. I watched a couple of guys coming into the pit lane there. Northway, it looked like maybe he opted not to take tyres, and a few others did. So that might give Northway a bit of an advantage.
Not at the end of the end of the 25 laps though.
Oh, exactly. It's the trade-off that you've got to play with, because you can get an advantage by saving time in the pit lane, but then you can also lose time by running on older tyres, as you say. So we'll have to see how that plays out. We're only on lap 17 here of 25. Daniel Shields obviously wanting to go long here, but there's still that cloud hanging over his head as to whether or not he's going to be able to potentially hang on to this win if he manages to stay out in front here, because there was that little drama there with Robert Northway, and hopefully we'll be able to get a replay after the race there to see what happened.
Now, I do wonder if that's a post-race...
has to be.
Yeah, with the project cars, so it's a post-race.
Well, we haven't heard anything in our ears from race control as to whether or not Shields is going to get penalised, but you know, we haven't got replays at the moment, but on first glance, it looked like Daniel Shields wasn't that far up the inside of Northway.
No, you don't reckon he had a little bump thinks I'm going through?
Well, like I said, pothole's not a place that you generally pass, and it looked like Northway gave him a bit of room, but he also tried to take the normal racing line, and Shields just stuck his nose up the inside, said, I'm going to send it. And there was obviously that little nudge there that sent Northway into a little bit of spin. Maybe Northway played the game a little bit and did the spin on purpose, who knows, but hopefully we'll see a replay and see what happens.
Am I seeing that correct, Simon, that this guy's, we've switched now, but Shields has got a 17-second lead over number 2?
Yeah, so it looks like Matt Smith is currently up in P2 at the moment. 18 seconds the margin. He's a couple seconds off the pace in terms of his outright lap pace. So Shields...
So this would be a wise time for Shields to pit, correct, with that sort of margin?
With a margin like that, he could just about come out in front of all of them. But like I say, there's still that cloud hanging over his head, whether or not he's going to be able to keep on to the lead here.
So he's going to stay out there as long as he can, get a biggest margin he can, and then come out.
And then you've also got to consider, if he does get a penalty, how big is the penalty going to be? Because they might say, all right, Robert, you were in the lead. How much time did you lose? Was it 5, 10, 15 seconds? Or they might be a little bit more harsh, because it might have cost Robert a chance at winning this race. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. The officials will be looking. As we see Simon Bishop, he goes for a half spin. Almost goes across the other side of the track. An uncharacteristic mistake from the man who's usually seen in the Gran Turismo Sport realms. Does quite well in that. He actually made it to Singapore, I think.
Oh, wow.
Late last year to compete in one of the GT Sport events there. So a cool little trip for him. He is definitely one of the highly rated drivers. Currently sitting down in P6 there.
Now, is it Robert Northway or is it Michael Robinson that holds some of these world records?
Northway, I believe, has a lot of the world records.
Speak of the devil.
He's a very quick man. He knows his way around some of these New Zealand circuits. We see another man go for a spin there. I wasn't sure who that was.
Matthew Pluck, maybe? No.
Possibly.
No, it was Simon again. It was Simon, because Simon is behind Northway. Well, he was.
Well, it could be a guy who's let down. There's a couple of guys who are only on... Yeah, see, they're best part of 2 minutes behind now, so they could be a lap bit behind. But
so you're getting into that lap traffic, because you've got 16 cars out on track as well. So we're not even seeing the full field. There's another 3 drivers that don't get a show in, unfortunately, because they're 14, 15, 16, and our board just isn't big enough to fit them in. So do better. So disparity, 20 seconds now on that lead, Shields, and we have NSG Benny saying 8th position out there. Right, okay. So 3 cars retired is actually what I hear in my race control ear.
So maybe some mechanical issues early on in this race.
Well, you did see those things crash at the start, and we're sending into the middle of the field and limit. Who knows? All right, Simon, so we've got the grand final of Speedworks this weekend at Taupo, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to get into some New Zealand motorsport, that would be a cup of tea if you're in Central Island. If you're lower North Island, Wellington or Manawatu, D1NZ Grand Final, that's coming up too as well. Or if you're local here in Dunedin or Ruapuna, Mike Piero Motorsport Park, you've got the Drift South Final coming up as well. So motorsport rife and well and good in New Zealand, Simon. What's your take on it?
There's fair few changes going on at the moment in terms of the top level stuff. Obviously, the recent announcement that Motorsport New Zealand have secured the TCR contract to bring that to New Zealand. So that's going to be launching around January of next year. They've still got to find a promoter, so that will hopefully be announced in the coming weeks or months, and then there'll be probably a little bit of an exodus in terms of guys buying up cars and starting teams.
There's already cars in New Zealand though, obviously.
Yeah, so
there's of sort of 8 to 10 cars apparently.
Around about. The number seems to change every other day, but we do know,
right?
We do know that there are obviously a couple of Volkswagens running around.
Now, just to you say Volkswagen, TCR. does that stand for touring car racing?
Yes.
Okay, now if I explain this to people at home who don't understand, touring car racing is multiple manufacturers. You've got, say, Hyundai or Skoda or Peugeot, and it's kind of like what the V8 supercars were trying to do with multiple manufacturers.
Yeah,
right?
kind of. If anything, it's a lot like these cars. You know, the GT3 formula is basically, you've got a set of regulations, you've got a book, you open the book and you say, all right, well, these are the configurations that you've got to build your car to. Go and build a car. So Audi goes and builds a car, or the actual thing that happens is Audi says, all right, I'm going to get you to build my car. Volkswagen says, I'm going to get you to build my car. And then Honda says, I'm going to get you to build my car. So these groups build the cars to the book, and then
this is global, which is why it's
just like
such
GT3.
Success, right?
Yeah, it's just like GT3. So GT3 and GT4 are maybe slightly quicker than TCR.
Yep.
GT3 cars are always rear-wheel drive, quite fast, a lot of aero. Generally a lot more expensive though.
Now GT3 does, you've got Ferrari, Lambo, is Lambo in?
Yeah, so it's basically, think of it like this. GT3 and GT4 cars are rich man, and TCR car is not so rich man.
So TCR is not Northline and Endurance series.
Like your mum's Volkswagen Golf GTI.
But it's cool because TCR is, I guess it's, I can look at it as a consumer. I'm driving down in my Volkswagen. Oh my God, my Volkswagen's going 200 k's down Pukekohe. That could be me. But it appeals to a consumer.
Totally. But the difference between that is that like the GT3 car and the TCR cars, that the GT3 cars are a lot faster, and they've got big aero. They've got lots of driver assist and things like that. Whereas a TCR car has no traction control, no ABS. It's all down to the driver. There's like no aero on these cars, so they're front wheel drive.
They are very wide body and
they look aggressive.
Very staunch, very aggressive.
Very aggressive. So
right, Daniel Shields. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. He's taken his pit and he is still out in front. Well played, sir. Well played. So there we go. 142, lap 22. Only 2 seconds now down on.
Matthew Smith there.
Matthew Smith and
Smith's
Robert Northway. So he didn't get the jump. Yeah, Shields had a huge gap.
Daniel Shields looks like maybe he's got almost like an overcut. So he's managed to maintain an advantage there over Monkey Man Matthew Smith. We don't know whether he's had his pit stop. We assume that he has, with the margin now down at 2 seconds. We'll try and get that confirmed in our ears soon.
So obviously Matthew Smith right now, or Monkey Man Matt, is our only hope that New Zealand takes out Australia. 2 seconds down. Right behind him is, let's have a look there, we've got...
So it looks like Kyle Madden currently sitting in P3 there, 9 seconds back in the lead. And then we've got Mr. Pluck down in P4 with Northway only a few tenths behind him. So we'll hopefully get to see the battle between Pluck and Northway in a moment now, because it looks like, going by timing, there's only maybe a second between those two. Hopefully we'll get our cameraman,
look at the dash.
who's on a bit of a different planet a little bit earlier in this race, up to the front. So here we go.
Monkey Matt into, so he's Australian.
So
Monkey Matt, Monkey Matt is Christchurch. So we've got Australia, New Zealand, Australia right now in the Project Cars ANZ Championship. So good mix-up to start off with, and I'm not sure why, but and Kyle Madden is his name is AU. Now, obviously, I don't know whether that comes because he's saying Australia or because he loves the AU Falcon, because he's out of Australia and they're all bogans over there and love AU Falcons. Who knows? But yes, Australia, New Zealand, Australia. Oh no, we've got Australia now. No good. No good for us Kiwis at the moment.
I think we've got to focus on the medal for second at the moment, because at the moment I think Shields is probably going to get a penalty for that little misdemeanour at the start of the race there with Robert Northway, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we'll see how that plays out and whether we get some confirmation there of an investigation.
Oh, so we hear something through race control just then, and so I was going to say that you were wrong, Simon, and you probably were, but what we say is all penalties, just checking the rule book, all penalties in game.
Wow.
So if the infraction is, if the misdemeanour was going to happen,
let me just get my
Simon
rule book out.
The rule book, it happens inside the game, ladies and gentlemen. We're learning as we go here. Project Cars Championship, 7 weeks. This is race 1 of 7 weeks. Settle in, get some wages going. Right now, it is all about Daniel Shields vying for 200 points, $3,000 on the line.
LPL Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship 29 rule set V2.6.2 Pro protests must be made as soon as the match concludes to any tournament. So, organiser referees.
Oh my God. Okay. Calm down.
If a participant would like to protest an incident, so it's not over yet. So I think Robert Northway might be protesting.
Robert Northway is not here, so it's going to be interesting for him to get on the phone and
be like, yo, what's the dealio?
He pushed me off the track. Well, we can't see it, so sorry, mate. It's all happening within the game here, ladies and gentlemen. So Kyle Madden, he is currently sitting in second position. However, with Kyle Madden, we do know that he's from Australia, so we've got 2 Australians in the lead. Now we've got Kyle Madden, and right behind him in third position, who we got, Simon?
I'm not sure.
It's not Pinkman.
Yeah, so Shields ahead of Kyle Madden, and then we've got Pluck in P3, Northway in P4, and then Monkey Man Matt in P5 there. So 29 seconds covering the top 5 as it stands at the moment. Shields, boy, he's got some wheels. 10 seconds the advantage for him at the moment over Mr. Kyle Madden. So,
all right, so our only hope is Matthew James Pluck out of Christchurch. Come on, Matt. Well, Robert Northway's there too, though. He's in 4th position. Yeah. So, you know, for having a massive spill, if he takes it back, he will be the doctor of tonight.
Yeah, it's really
interesting.
Give him
the doctor title because he spun out and he managed to get back up there. But
he's still slower though. He's still slower than Shields. He's fractionally faster.
Maybe Shields will just spin out and go into the centre or pop a tyre.
Yeah, don't want to end up in the weeds.
Yeah,
not ideal.
Those curbs, I know because I've drifted over those curbs and beached my drift car on them, are really, really aggressive, especially in the carousel, which we're not actually using this round. So we're talking about TCR before we got carried away with this big change over here. TCR is obviously cool. It's coming to New Zealand. Next year they're looking for promoter.
Yep.
So that's going to be sort of the new man class. But maybe outshine the V8s, the Z8s, maybe not.
Yeah, well, the BNT
might give them a rebirth.
You know, they've also got their own thing going on with the rejigged Class 1. So I think the new Class 1 rigs could reinvigorate the Bogan and all of us because, you know, they're going to be bringing in Dodge Chargers and Ford Mustangs and Chevy Camaros.
So does that mean
like supercars, but better?
Because less restriction.
Yeah.
Now, in that though, is that guys out of the North Island Endurance Series? Right, there we go. Simon, me and you were chatting away. Daniel Shields, ladies and gentlemen, takes it. Race complete. Race 1 of the ANZ Project Cars Star Insurance Specialist Race. Daniel Shields, Australia.
Oh, he's in the battle for
Australia.
third though. Pluck on Northway. Pluck looks like he's just going to hold on to P3 here. Northway will take P4, and it looks like Matt Smith will cross the line in a distant 5th.
Oh, so close.
Very close. So, Shields, 9-second win. But we'll have to see if Northway makes a protest after this race because, you know, it did look like a bit of a touch and go little move there, and I hope we can get a replay and get some vision of that incident.
So Australia, New Zealand, Australia leads the ANZ Championship. First place, 200 points. Daniel Shields picks out 200, 180 for second, 164 for third, and it just goes down and down and down. If you're in 16th place, you're doing really bad. But Daniel Pinkman coming through now as well. Well, we saw a really fantastic start, didn't we, Simon?
Yeah, it was fascinating to watch them go 3 wide into turn 1 like I worried they might have. So, yeah, it was a good battle there for the lead. A little bit worrying at times. Obviously, that little incident there with Robert Northway and Daniel Shields, our race winner. There we go. Here's our results. Daniel Shields ahead of Mr. Kyle Madden in P2. Matthew Pluck in P3. The margins between these guys are a whopping 13-second win by Daniel Shields. Boy, he's got some wheels.
Yes, Robert Murphy's Law Northway, look, 4th position, still a fantastic result from him coming out. I'm going to say it wasn't his fault. So going down there, Monkey Matt. Simon, your local man, not as good as a result as you would hope.
Yeah, well, he had that little incident halfway through the race there, had a bit of a spin. He's unfortunately the last man on the lead lap. Then we got Daniel Pinkman and Damien Main down in P7 and 8 respectively. So you got the penalty there now for NZ Simon B, and that was something to do with the pits, was it? Yeah, possibly. It looks like maybe he crossed the blend line too early, or maybe speeding in pit lane, because these guys do obviously still have control of their car in the pit lane, so he could have been speeding. So 10 seconds, unfortunately, added to his time, but it doesn't matter because Monkey Matt was a whopping 20 seconds ahead.
Now you've got to look further down the field here as we go down. 9th position, NZ, NSG, Benny, Shane T. Now these guys, don't discount them. They did. Some of them had all right times, but some of them also got taken out at the start of that race. So you know, there's some a big disparity in some of these drivers as well, and it's going to be a wake-up call on how much time they have to sit in that race car seat to actually get some good times.
Well, you'd have to wonder if any of these guys watched last season, because, you know, we spoken about it a lot. These guys were spending every night after work coming home to cut some laps on these tracks, and it's even more important, especially on the way that the setup is now, where you're going to race the track twice in one evening. It's not like last time where we went to Watkins Glen for the first race, then we went to Spa-Francorchamps for the second race. You know, these guys are doing back-to-back races at the same circuit. So we're going to return to Mike Perrin Motorsport Park in a moment for race 2.
Very shortly, guys. Remember, get on, download the Ola app, and make sure you go onto our Facebook page, Let's Play Live New Zealand HQ, and get yourself some Mammoth. We'll be back with you very shortly after the break. Stay tuned, coming soon.
The Star Insurance Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship is proudly brought to you in association with Logitech G, gaming with science. Need a ride? Thanks to Ola and Let's Play Live, we are hooking you up. Simply download the Ola app and type in the code Let's Ride to get your first ride free. T's and C's apply. Do you have what it takes?
Tied up, they go for the 3 to win instead. Oh, yes!
To hoop against the best.
He's finding some points, he's finding some easy buckets.
Oh, ready!
We are on the search for the best bowlers across the country. Test your skill and see how you stack up against the strongest.
Karu green beans, and that is just crazy. All the way through.
Don't miss out on your chance to stand with the elite. Sign up now at cybergamer.com.
Welcome back. We are live from the LPL studios in Sky Tower. Score yourself a free ride thanks to our partners at Ola. Just download the Ola app and use the coupon Let's Ride. Get yourself $20 off your first ride. Slick Rides. Check it out. It's on the App Store right now. So welcome back. My name is Brendan White. We are here live inside the Sky Tower for Project Cars 2. It's the second championship thanks to Star Insurance. Now, Simon, bit of intel going on after the first race, bit of journalism thanks to velocitynews.co.nz. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, sounds like there's maybe a little bit of drama in the background, bit of infighting between the guys. Sounds like Shields reckons that Robert Northway turned in on him, so he's blaming Northway at the moment. Now,
Northway for Northway's off.
Yeah, for Northway having a spin there. So already a little bit of combatants going on there between the two leaders in that race there for a time being. And also we saw Simon Bishop, he had a penalty there. Unfortunately, he turned the pit lane speed limiter off halfway down the pit lane, so he got a 10-second penalty.
What does that mean? What does it mean that you turn the speed limiter off?
So basically when you come into the pit lane, it's a safety zone, right? So you've got to basically be under about 40 k's an hour.
Yep.
And you can press a button and your car will sort of idle along at 40 k's and it won't go across that. But if you press the button, it comes off the limiter. Obviously, you're going to be speeding, so that's an automatic penalty. So unfortunately, he cops a 10-second penalty. Doesn't affect his race time too much. But one thing he did say was that these cars are really unstable under brakes. So maybe
lots of understeer.
Well, no, it looks like entry oversteer.
Entry oversteer.
So these guys are locking up their rear brakes, even with the ABS and even with the traction control. These guys are coming into the corner and they're just losing the rear ends. We saw a few times in qualifying as well. They're getting quite loose. So Bishop, one of the guys who went over to Tokyo, I said Singapore before, but he went to Tokyo, as did Matt Smith. So they went over there for their Gran Turismo Sport competition. And unfortunately, they've come back, jumped in the Ferrari, and the car's not feeling perhaps to their needs. So
pity.
Not great.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to check out race 2 from Mike Pero Motorsport Park. The guys are ready. They've sort of felt it out. They know who, I guess, are the people that won. Here is the track again, Simon.
Yep. Once again, Mike Pero Motorsport Park. 11 or 12 turns, depending on how you count. Heading into turn 1, obviously it narrows a lot. We saw that drama in race 1. Might see it again. We'll have to see how the grid shakes up again. Turn 3 there through that red section, the final corner for that is pothole. That is a danger zone for these guys. They do not want to be passing through there. That's where we saw a bit of drama a little bit earlier on there with Shields and Robert Northway. Then we get down into the second sector there, the green section. Head into that hairpin, very tight through there. It's probably the slowest corner on this track. Then you head through the windy little Limfield section where these cars really show what they're made of. They use the downforce from the front and rear wing to really good effect through there, through that right and left and big sweeping right-hander. Then you head through the quick right-hander and then to the quick left-hander. Quite open corners, but they're not really good places to overtake because you take quite a wide line on entry and then you've got to swing back across the other side of the track to get through the second quantum through there as well. So here we go, the guys are heading out now for qualifying 10 minutes. Daniel Shields, our race 1 winner. We'll have to keep an eye on him. He's obviously the man to beat at this point with the fastest time in qualifying 1.
All right, so 4 o'clock in the afternoon, light cloud. As we get through the championship over the next 7 weeks, we're actually going to see rain and different things come into play, which is really going to test these drivers and their capability. So I guess we let them get used to the game in the first race. However, it's been a daunting hello to some of these top guys versus the lower to mid, or I guess mid to lower of the pack.
Yeah, definitely. I think these guys might have a look at those results after tonight and say, boy, I've got to spend a bit of time on the sim as we see someone out in the weeds there, just taking an alternative racing line there.
It's not something we should really see after a full race.
It's not conventional, no. We see Daniel Shields heading out through the hairpin there, again, really loose. So, like Simon Bishop was saying, these cars are really loose on entry, under brakes there, very unstable. See Daniel Shields wagging that tail a lot. It's generally something that you don't see from a GT3 car.
Right, so it's something that we're obviously cold tyres again. This is a fresh race, so they've got to warm themselves up, where maybe a few of them were like, oh, right, we're going back out on track, and then forgot we're straight out on cold tyres.
Yeah, definitely. So these guys will be spending the first maybe 1 or 2 laps just getting those tyres up to temperature. We don't have that data at the moment, but these guys on board will be able to see how warm their tyres are. Daniel Shields doing a really good job there of warming up his tyres for a fast lap. He's actually drifting almost as he heads into the final corner there, so obviously not going to go onto a fast lap at this point maybe. Just squeeze up the exit of that corner, so gets a good launch out of into the first sector. We'll see what his first lap time is as he comes across the line to start his first lap. Daniel Shields, our race 1 winner, pending a possible protest from Robert Northway.
Oh, you love the controversy, don't you there, Simon?
I've got to say,
that's your journalism coming out on you.
I've got to say, from my perspective, it definitely looked like Robert Northway maybe was just a little bit out of luck there, and then Daniel Shields was sticking his nose in. But Daniel Shields, as we know already from my investigations, has determined that no, it was Robert's fault. So we'll have to see how that plays
your group
out.
Facebook chat. So the drivers have a Discord or a group chat going on where they're all in it?
Quite possibly. Like last time when we were here for season 1, these guys were obviously like literally sitting next to each other. They obviously don't have the privilege of that because some of them are in Australia and some of them are in New Zealand. So they're obviously playing from home at the moment, but they'll have a Discord chat where they'll be able to chat to each other and maybe say, you took me out, or no, I didn't.
Yeah. Right, now last race we saw, what was it, 118? Was it a 118?
Yeah, I think a 118 or a low 119. So
One low 119. So the current lap record is held by none other than Scott Dixon.
This is the real world record, though, isn't it?
World record?
The real world, as in like real world, not a simulation.
Race, yes.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's 115.81 is...
In a rainer?
Well, this is what Wikipedia says, guys. So my information...
I don't think Scott Dixon plays Project Cars too, Brendan.
So I don't think Wikipedia is going off Project Cars, so I'd say that's probably quite accurate. 115.81, which are,
In 1998, that was set. So Shields sets the first fast time. He puts the benchmark up there at 119.480, already 7 tenths ahead of his nearest rival there.
Which is
Carl Madden.
Yeah, Carl Madden out of Australia, Brisbane, North Lakes.
Simon Bishop there sitting down at P3. He doesn't do a particularly quick lap on his first time round there. 2.3 seconds off the pace. So Shields straight away onto it. So now we're just watching Robert Murphy's Law Northway coming through the infield section there. You might want to stay off those curbs a little bit because it could be costing him a bit of time. Unsettles the car a lot. These cars generally don't like curbs because they are quite low, quite stiff. Whereas, a supercar has got very soft suspension and definitely handles those curbs a lot better.
You look at those supercars in the street circuits, whether it's Gold Coast or even the curbs at Pukekohe and how they get up on two wheels, they've got to be pretty agile.
And these cars are relatively fragile compared to them, You've got lots of aero to worry about, lots of carbon and things, whereas the supercar is just basically a taxi. You can just take a bit for beating.
Yeah, as they do. All right, so Daniel Shields up there, 118.7.
He goes a little bit faster there, so it looked like maybe Carl Madden was trying to bounce back there. He actually eclipsed Shields for a little bit, but Shields just drops that benchmark down to a 118.7, so a really good time there. Puts him 3 tenths ahead. We still wait for Northway to set a good time. He's done a 131 for his first time around, so maybe spending the first couple of laps just to getting a grip and get into the groove. He's already had a race to sort of figure things out though, so you sort of wonder, why isn't he up the top there yet?
I guess you'd put, you 2 laps in to get the heat in the tyres, and then you'd start doing some flying laps and then call it there. But with 5 minutes, you've really got to time it perfectly because if you're out on track, so to speak. And I guess you're looking at the group chat again, aren't you, to see what's going on? Are these guys so qualifying and talking on the group chat at the same time?
Yeah, just having a yarn.
It's all about the yarns here at Project Cars, live out of Sky Tower in Sky City. You guys can actually come along and be part of the action. That's right, week 7, we are going to be doing it inside Sky City Theatre, and it's a beautiful place. If you guys caught the GT Championship we did in the very first year, we have everybody up on stage. We have presenters and goodies and all sorts of giveaways. I think it's only $5 as well.
So there we go, Carl Madden, he goes to the top, sends it straight to P1, but then Shields betters it again, a 118.1, so he's nearly into the 117 bracket, Daniel Shields, as we see that. Loopy cameraman doesn't know what he's doing down at turn 1. No idea. So the 2 tenths between these two guys, Daniel Shields, Carl Madden, lap after lap, these guys keep bouncing back. Robert Northway finally clocks a quick one, P3 to go 7 tenths off the pace there, a little bit wide there out of turn 3. Keep an eye, oh sorry, that was actually turn 2. He comes through turn 3 now through pothole. We have to keep an eye on these guys. Monkey Matt Smith, 1.6 seconds off the pace. He'll be wanting to drop that margin down. So him and Simon Bishop, Gran Turismo Sport New Zealand representatives, those guys have had a lot of success in the past. They went over to Tokyo late last year to be part of the Asia Pacific Championship, I believe, and did quite well.
So this is where we've been talking that, hey, if you're giving, say, your kids, your teenagers a bit of stick about getting in and playing on sims, and they're actually serious about it, well, it can lead to actually getting inside real race cars and travel and trips and something in the bank. $3,000 up at first when we get into the final in May here at Sky City. You can come along, $5. But like we said, McLaren, Ferrari, the supercars, Shane Van Gisbergen last night playing with you on the sim. It's there's a lot of people out there doing it professionally.
Totally, and it is a profession. These guys like Brendan Hartley, Richie Stanaway, and Mitch Evans, they spend a lot of time on the simulator and developing the cars, the virtual car for the real world. In terms of Project Cars is pretty pretty close to real life, but when these guys like Ferrari are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on proper simulations, it's as close to real life without actually being on the track.
Yep.
So.
And you see a lot of the drifters do it as well. International drifters are competing. They've got all their own Discords and set of Corsa, and there's multiple games out there as well. You can even create tracks as well, as we have someone go a bit sideways out on turn 1 by the looks of it.
Interesting to see Northway. He's decided to box from P3. He's 7/10 off the lead. Again, he qualified in P3 in that last race, so maybe he's not too concerned about.
Well, maybe this is the pressure. You know, he had the pressure of sometimes, like when we went go-karting, and we did Project Cars go-karting last season, guys, and Simon just punted me off the track.
I was leading.
Yes, and so same thing with Northway. Maybe he wants to sit in third position.
Well.
Did you?
Yeah,
you cheated, man. Jesus.
It's good.
Yeah, winning's winning though, right? You didn't get penalised, so yeah, I'm still dark about that. But anyway, Northway. So maybe he just wants to take the pressure off himself, sit in third position, fourth position, let the other guys have the pressure on, and go for the attack. That
maybe he just wants to do what he did in P1 and just make it exciting for us, and just have a really good start.
Yeah. Well, my money's still going to be on Northway, even though Shields seems to be just, there's not a big difference there, 0.8 of a second, I guess, between Northway and Shields at the moment.
Yeah, but I think that margin to second is the one that's really interesting at the moment. If a guy like Kyle Madden, the two Aussies on the front row, unfortunately, if Kyle Madden can get a good jump from the outside, he could hang it around the outside at turn 1 and 2 and potentially steal the lead off Shields. Shields, we've obviously seen, has got their outright pace, but this is a circuit that you can defend on pretty effectively. These cars, obviously, you see Shields get really loose. To prove my point, these cars potentially not as stable a setup as what a lot of these drivers would like. Simon Bishop was telling me a little bit earlier that the car just doesn't feel that great.
Yeah, it's the defaults that, to make it, I guess, an even level playing field. Those default settings do, I guess, upset the car as he goes. Daniel Sheds goes a bit sideways coming into the centre section. Now, looking at the actual lap times, 1.18, sorry, I should say, for Shields. Going further down the board, it's closer now. Look, you look at the, I guess, the gaps on the right-hand side of the board, all the way down to 8th position, 9th position. We're seeing a lot closer times in this qualifying than we did in the last one. Hopefully we see these times replicated into this next race. Another 25 laps, Simon, is it?
Yep.
25 laps, vying for another 200 points, and this is where it really does get championship points. If you get the jump early in the championship, sometimes it's really hard for people to come back from that. Jordan Penny, didn't he take it out in the second to last race last year?
Yeah, he just about led from start to finish, so he took the advantage early. I'm still not sure that Shields has got the advantage just at this point after that little issue in the race, the first race. So
you're really saying this so Northway does protest. So we get the drama. So tomorrow on Velocity News, you're going to run a press release, aren't you? And it's going to be all about Robert Northway.
We don't do esports coverage just yet.
Why not? I don't know. Take it seriously, mate. Tomorrow I want to see a press release, please.
It's a lot to write about, all the drama.
At least you know it.
I got to call up Robert first thing tomorrow morning, ask him what the heck happened, mate.
Yeah, and then the protest has got to be done within a certain time, right?
24 hours.
Yes. So it's much like when you come to an event, whether it's D1NZ, We Run, or any motorsport event, you have stewards and officials like Race Control next door to us, and you've got to you can't complain to the officials 3 days later because you lost it. You've basically got to do it at the track, within the event, within the permit time.
Yep. So you learn a lot. We're constantly learning here on the Motorsport New Zealand circuit and the circuit of running events. So here we go. We're back live. Qualifying is done and dusted, and it looks like we're going to have an Australian out on front again. Two Australians. Yeah. Guys, what's happening here? Should we go?
Shall we go? Just walk out here. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Here's your qualifying results for the race 2 coming up. Mike Perry Motorsport Park. Simon, take us away.
So there we go. Daniel Shields on pole position, just 0.17 ahead of his fellow countryman there, Kyle Madden. So an all-Australian front row, Robert Murphy's Law Northway in P3 there, and then Simon Bishop making up for his little issue there in race 1 with P4. And then we've got Mr. Matt Smith down in P5 there, Damien Main down in P6, and Matthew Pluck down in P7, Dave Stone in P8. So only 1.7 covering the top 8. So I think it'll be a lot closer this race. We'll have to see how these guys fare once we get into turn 1, because I think we might see a bit of Aussie argy-bargy into turn 1.
2 Australians on the front in first and second. Third and fourth, we've got 2 Kiwis rounding out the board. We've got Roy Oliver down in 14th position. Don't see 15th and 16th there, but we are about to go racing, ladies and gentlemen. It's Project Cars 2 Championship. The drivers are 16 cars. great to see. We're going to see 16 cars off the front there. No rolling start though for GT racing, which is unnormal, but it's some racing, so we're fine there. Make a bet. Who's your money on? Quick, go.
Northway.
Oh, are you? I'm going to go Northway too. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing. Mike Pero Motorsport Park, 25 laps again. And we are going to go right there. Daniel Shields on the front of the grid. What are we going to get onto turn 1, Simon? We can take it away.
So here we go. This is the grid here. We're looking at Robert Northway, Simon Bishop down in P4 there. Second row of the grid. Northway, can he get another barnstorming start from the second row? We have to see what happens there.
All right, so we're just checking out the grid. This is actually, it's just like they do in actual real racing, Have a look, Monkey Matt. As we go further back down the grid, the cameraman's actually got his he's even got the wobble going on for a game.
Interesting.
Quite cool.
Matthew Pluck only P7 in that. He was a really good performer in qualifying in the first qualifying.
He was not too bad in the race as well.
Yeah, well, he was up in third and even as high as second at one point, so I'll be interested to see if he can make up a little bit of ground off the start here. I'd hate to see Shields just gap away from the start, but I'd like to see Northway potentially.
All right, motorised Kiwi, Michael Robinson. So he was in the in the championship last year. So not as good as Michael Robinson would want, unfortunately, being so far back. But nonetheless, he's consistent and he does bring some surprises through the championship last year. So we're going to see that in this championship. Well, further down the grid, Shane T, 13th position, all the way down 14th position. 16 cars, actual physical 16 races right now, sitting at home. The nerves are going to be sitting there. They're in the sims. They know they've got 25 laps, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Pero Motorsport Park, the Star Insurance, Race 2, Championship number 1, right here live.
Here we go, the revs will start to rise. Mike Pero Motorsport Park, Race 2 of the season. Shields on pole. Madden on P2 alongside, or maybe a little bit of a jumper start from these guys. Big launch. Northway again with an absolute belter from the second row. Simon Bishop drops back and he's going to get swamped into turn 1. We watch. Let's see if the cameraman can focus on the guys into turn 1. Oh, Kyle Madden gets hung out to dry and he's out in the weeds. Oh, he's been out onto the grass, so a bad start there for Madden, and it looks like Northway, after all that drama in the first race, has managed to steal the lead into turn 2. Shields drops down to P3, and Simon Bishop is the big benefactor after that slow start. He's managed to get up to P3 there. So as they head into the hairpin, hopefully we can get through here without any more drama. We look to see, where has Kyle Madden dropped back to? Down to 10th, so a really bad start for him. He was one of our front row starters, unfortunately hung out to dry by Shields there. I do wonder, maybe Shields is going to cop another protest here.
Well, that's fine, because they're both Australian, so that rivalry is right there. We've got Robert Northway, but everything I said about Robert Northway maybe taking that back bench for a few laps to start with, just to let it, come out. Definitely didn't happen. So the pressure's now back on Robert Northway to defend. Again, it's the same thing that happened in race 1.
I think the pressure's actually on Shields here. He's got to get back into the lead now, knowing that he's possibly facing a little bit of a protest here from Northway for the first race. So have we potentially got a replay here? No, we've got a frozen graphic. So unfortunately, we can't see what's happening on the track at the moment. But currently, it looks like Robert Northway is in the lead.
There we go. Oh, look, it's us. Brendan White. There we go. Check out D1NZ on Instagram and check out Simon Chapman at Velocity. So that's you guys, isn't it?
Yep.
Velocity News. That's your bread and butter?
Yep.
Velocity.co.nz. So yes, it is still Robert Murphy's Law out on front, followed by Shields. And they're getting a bit of a gap as well on Simon Bishop. Monkey Matt, a bit further down the tree.
Yeah, so Simon Bishop, best part of a second and a half behind Northway for the lead there. Northway just holding on. Maybe knowing after the dramas that he had in the first race that he needs to maybe just take his time and just settle into it and not have too many issues there. It looks like Kyle Madden has dropped all the way down to P3, so a bad start for him. Maybe decide to pit early, get that pit stop out of the way, because he's the best part of 28 seconds behind these guys. So not the start that the Australian from Brisbane would have wanted. But he's now down in 13th overall. Currently, it is Northway who leads.
We are seeing five cars out in a close proximity right now. So let's keep these 5 cars together, and that's going to give us a good race. Rounding out that 5 is Australia, obviously, Monkey Matt. And then you've got Pluckman, New Zealand, Simon Bishop, Daniel Shields, and Robert Northway up on the lead here. Lap time is currently 1:19.57 is the lead lap, but not the fastest.
Yeah, so there's margins between those two on that last lap.
Shields has got the fastest at the moment.
Northway was only 7/100ths slower than Shields, so the margin between these two is almost negligible at this point. They're neck and neck, maybe only a car length or two between them, but we focus now on Matthew Pluck, who's challenging for the final step on the podium.
Mate, Simon Bishop.
Simon Bishop, great name.
Great name, yep. You thought you were racing when we got
I looked at the entry list and I was like, holy heck.
Now this is a fantastic part of this midsection, especially if you're a spectator. They come through these S's straight towards you and then they hook a hard right here. And then if you're in the drift section, they'll actually drift up and over to the left. But in racing, they come straight down the back end of the front straight. You don't see them from the grandstands, but when they pop back out here, it always provides fantastic racing right through this midsection here because they're always cutting the corner and trying to get that jump into this left-hander.
And that's actually a characteristic for how you drive in real life. You do cut the corner just a little bit.
Of course.
Because it's not one of the high-profile curbs like on other elements of the circuit that we see. So through that curb in the final corner, it's sort of like that, a little bit more low profile, so you can run a bit of the grass through there and you won't get too much of a penalty.
Shields gets a nice wide exit there down the front straight, but he's not going to get the slipstream that he wants off Northway on this occasion. No blocking needed as Northway now cuts off to the left. He's going to go for the wide line, try to cut onto Northway. Bit of unsettlement there coming into so you can see that what the drivers are talking about just unsettling the car coming into the corner.
These guys are dancing around and we don't normally see this for GT3 cars. You sort of wonder whether maybe the stock setup isn't too good on this track in these conditions. Maybe it's running not a heck of a lot of wing on the front or rear. You sort of wonder because these guys are heading into the corners and the rear end of the car is squirming around like a dog on marbles. It's crazy.
It's one of those things you really unfortunately can't let the guys go nuts with their own tuning setups purely because then you're just not going to have a polarity in the race. So you've got to make a default and unfortunately that will have some benefit, some characteristics we don't favour.
But the good thing about that is that obviously once you have a fixed setup, it all comes down to the driver.
Exactly. Yep. And this is the great thing about the TCR cars, or drifting, so to speak. Right now on Daniel Shields challenging Robert Northway here, Mike Perry Motorsport Park, lap currently, lap are we? 4 of 25. 4 of 25. Championship points right now. Ooh, bit of sideways there again.
Both of them look like they got a little bit loose there into the final corner, so that's proving to be a little bit tricky for the two leaders. They've dropped Pluck, who's managed to get past Simon Bishop there for third, so he's on the final step of the podium. His last lap time was a 1:20.61, so he's just that fraction bit slower than the leaders. Northway does a 1:21 and Shields does a 1:20.0, so only a tenth between these two at the moment.
Now this is something we talked about last year. Northway, really, really good in qualifying and really, really good. Also, big cut there from Shields. Really good as far as single racing goes, single pass. But when it comes to battles and when it comes to actually racing someone, he's got multiple world records all over the place for different tracks.
Yeah.
When it came to racing maneuvers, blocking, it sort of let him down last project cars, but this year he seems to be maintaining it right now.
Yeah, it was interesting. Northway's obviously a man who likes to look out the front end of the car. Doesn't really like looking in his mirrors all the time because he's got those world records. He does do a bit of iRacing and a few other little bits of simulation stuff. So he's not, out of tune by any means when it comes to racing other guys. I think he's maybe a little bit more conservative in the way that he's driving this race. He's definitely not as aggressive on his blocking yet. Shields has got a pretty good run on him coming into the final corner here, so we'll have to see who gets a good run out of here and whether or not Northway does have to block a little bit. We'll see if he cuts across to the inside of the track. As he does, I say that, Shields tries and grabs the slipstream as they head down into turn 1. They're going to go side by side once more. It is only lap 6 here of 25 at Mike Perry Motorsport Park. Side by side into turn 2. Shields gets hung out to dry out on the grass there.
No, this is where you said
switchback.
This is where you said don't pass on the inner.
He's going for it. The drama. Who's going to hold the line?
And we're going to do it again.
They hold on to it.
Go Northway. Now he's going to try to shut the door here. He's going to cut on the in. Shields going to come in on the inside. On the insides, will Shield get the pass? Shields gets it. The job is done.
That was a good battle.
And it was clean. It was fairly clean.
Well, relatively clean. They still bang doors, those guys. So Shields finally manages to get the pass done. Northway going really shallow there, looking like he was almost going to try and send it down the inside of Shields and punts him off the track there. I'm not sure he will be the happiest of campers at the moment. He's got a good run here coming out of the carousel. So that margin, it's out to about 2/10 now. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. See if he can get these last two corners hooked up and try and get the slipstream out to turn 1 and try and get that position back.
Well, as long as he settles back into it and he doesn't make uncharacteristic mistakes or gets himself worked up and just stays with Shields, he'll be able to take some of those jumps, like you say, the slipstream coming into turn 1. I'd love to see that. What was the corner called where he just tried to make the pass over the back there that went all wrong last race?
Pothole.
Pothole, right, okay. That's it. Oh, big,
wow,
big,
look at the margin.
Yeah,
it looked like Northway maybe got a little bit loose out of the final corner there, so already Shields has managed to gap Northway. The Australians taking the lead, eh? Oh, another big lose.
Northway!
Northway, a mistake there.
And that is going to let Pluckman come up nice and close, including Simon.
Dear me, the King of Christchurch is just falling off his throne at the moment as he came into turn 2 there. A big lose there. We were talking about it, Simon Bishop.
This is his home track too.
Yeah, well,
the
these guys were talking about it. Yes, the car's just really loose. So you sort of have to wonder whether they're going to go to the officials and be like, boys, change the setup on these cars. We've got no grip. We can't drive them.
Well, you can't argue that though, because Daniel Shields is out there doing a fantastic job.
That's true.
And they're cracking 119s, 118s. The lap record's 115. So really, where's your argument? It's playing devil's advocate,
Because I want
Daniel
a fast
Shields.
car that's not loose all the time. It's a GT3 car. It's downforce,
Yeah.
It's wings and slicks effectively. It's like a single-seater, but with a roof over your head. So these cars are designed to go through the corners really fast, be really stable.
Right.
But if we're talking about simulation here, these guys want a car that's grippy. They don't want a car that's going to be sliding all over the place and is going to be possibly turning themselves around like we saw Northway do a half spin there.
Damien Main into the pit further down the field, so he's taking that quite early. Not sure why he's taking that so early. Only the 8th lap of number 25 as Shields comes back down the front straight. Robert Northway, don't discount him. He will be able to pull that back out. Pressure on, and Daniel Shields will hit lap traffic at some stage too.
No doubt.
No doubt. You're in that old Discord chat.
I'm investigating, mate. I'm seeing if there's any more drama, but it all looks pretty
quiet. They're all
quiet
racing
now.
right now, so if they're chatting online as well while they're racing, they're very multi-talented.
So we're just keeping an eye on that. Wow, Shields has just absolutely gapped the field now. Northway is 3 seconds back, so Shields is the master here. Pluck, he's not far behind Northway actually, so Pluck's doing a good job after starting down the order on that 4th row. He's managed to make up some time and get up towards 2nd there, so there's only maybe a second or two between Northway and Pluck. He'll be looking to make up some time over these next few laps before the pit stops start kicking in.
Right, so equalisers. Let's talk about equalisers. We're seeing quite a lot of gaps here in this race. We got 16 races. We added more races to have tight-knit races. So strategies coming through the championship, pit stops, more pit stops, rain, different things added on. Is there something we should turn off or turn on that you think would... Or is it just that these guys just haven't done the hard yards?
Oh, you have to wonder. One big thing obviously last year was that the Ginetta GT4 wasn't the fastest car. GT4,
tank.
It was slow.
Yeah.
GT4 cars aren't designed to be particularly quick. They've got the good straight line speed, but through the corners they do require being, I guess, delicate.
Right.
You can't just manhandle the car through the corner. A GT3 car definitely requires a lot of precision.
So we would crash it, in other words.
Oh, 100%.
They're not, we're drifters and we're not, but we would crash it. Cool, okay, we get it. But what's the price tag on one of these machines?
Well, so a GT4 car could probably set you back about $200,000, $250,000 depending on what you get.
Right.
A new Camaro can send you upwards of $300,000 and $350,000.
Okay.
A GT3 car probably closer to $400,000 to $500,000 depending on what you're getting. So $500,000 for a car like this.
How many GT3 cars are there in New Zealand?
I estimate there's probably 10 or 11.
Right.
Depending on who you talk to.
Yeah.
And
do they race mostly in the North Island Endurance Series, or is this
So endurance racing is definitely the place to go because you get your best bang for buck out of a GT3 car. Even as a world formula, GT3 cars are designed for endurance racing. You generally do long form stuff. So for us
like
to be
50 or 100 laps, you're saying, right?
More than that, even. Guys are doing the absolute minimum is generally a 1 hour race,
right?
Which would be maybe 50 laps around
My Motorsport Park. Right.
But if you're doing a real endurance race, you're doing the best part of 12 or 24 hours.
So like the Bathurst 12 hours.
Exactly, and that requires having extra drivers and extra crew, and you're getting the most out of your dollar for that sort of thing because you're getting so many miles around the track, but it is obviously costly. It does cost a lot of money. So
Robert Northway sitting at 120, Shields 119. However, Pluck looming ever so closer to Northway. Shields right out in front, but he is coming up to lap traffic now. So we could see in the next couple of laps some good racing coming up here. There's obviously a bit of a battle going on between some further down in the field, NSG Benning, which is in 9th and 10th position at the moment. You see Mr. AU himself, Kyle Madden, the Australian, right above them.
So this is the battle here for second position. Matthew Pluck just sort of hustling to get by Northway. Northway takes a big grass cut there into the penultimate corner. Not the most conventional line. Interesting that Pluck getting on the brake there really early.
Maybe he's messaging you on Discord on multitasking.
So that's an interesting thing that we actually just saw. So potentially
is that race
Pluck,
control coming through?
Yeah, so Pluck it looked like maybe did a bit of a grass cut, and one thing that the game does is it can detect that you've taken too much curb or you've cut the corner and gained an advantage. So that's the first one we've actually had a look at. So what you would have seen there is he got on the brakes, and then he got off the brakes, and he got on the brakes. So
that wasn't him, that's the game?
No, so that was him. So that's him being told you need to slow down maybe 1.3 seconds.
Wow.
And has to drop back. So you see now.
How sucky is that?
Well, look at it. The Northway gap now is out to about 3 seconds between these two. So that's the issue that you do face if you do try and exceed the track limits. So
I wonder if race control can tell us if we've had any other penalties like that, or if that's been the first one. Right, okay. There has been quite a few. There has been multiple penalties imposed on this race.
Well, I can tell you one man who hasn't got a penalty, and that's Shields, because he's out to a 5-second lead now over Northway. Northway, he's dropped back quite a significant amount.
It doesn't look like 5 seconds when you look at the 50 and the 100 metre mark coming up into a corner.
These cars are fast. Right. There's, once they're getting from point A to point B, that margin does come out. So maybe we'll have to see the gap as it comes across the line now. Shields, he's going to clock a 121.599. Northway crosses the line. He does a 121.761. Actually, it's a 120.603, so he was a little bit quicker that time. So it looks, actually, that car immediately behind Shields there isn't Northway.
Right. That would be why we think he's going very fast.
we did comment a little bit earlier that there are two cars that do happen to have the same livery. So here we go, Northway's coming through pothole now, and Shields is just making his way through the hairpin. So that was a little bit deceiving there, unfortunately, with two identical liveries. Northway, see, he's got a second's margin over Pluck as we see Benjamin Crowe from Orange in New South Wales. He comes into the pits for his first stop.
It's amazing just watching this game and how realistic, even to the pit sheds.
Well, it's interesting actually that he overshot.
He missed his pit.
He overshot his pit, so he had to reverse there. He would have lost a few seconds there. Yeah, there's often.
How realistic is that they don't just, the game just doesn't twitch them forward? Yeah. You've actually got a. Where's your little boy with the board?
You just ran him over, apparently.
Yeah. And what about that pit manoeuvre at Supercars a few months back, eh? Oh, God. Who was that? That was
Rick Kelly and Chaz Mostert. They've actually changed the regulations because of that.
Matthew Pluck now goes in third position to his pit. So have we had Shields or Northway in their pit? We haven't yet, have we? So Pluck's going to get the bit of the jump. Here we go, let's see if he overshoots his pit.
It's an interesting strategy. So Matthew Pluck is going to try and do what we call an undercut. So you come in early, you grab some tyres, you get into some fresh air, and you try and set some really fast lap times. So what he'll be trying to do is be at least a second quicker than the leader.
Didn't see tyres. And he just baked the tyres.
Yeah, I thought he might have grabbed some there, but because it was definitely a slower stop. So he'll come out and he'll try and clock some quick times and some fresh air. And essentially what he wants to be doing
is... What is it called, an undercut?
An undercut. So essentially what he wants to be doing is he wants to be doing maybe 120s. And then Shields is maybe doing 121s or 122s.
Yeah.
And essentially that margin gets narrower and narrower and narrower until the point at which Shields needs to pit. He comes back out.
I get it. But in that, Shields is actually doing 120, so effectively he's going to need to be doing 119s to try to
qualifying laps, lap after lap.
Or Shield maybe has a really bad pit stop, which we've seen. Shane Van Gisbergen. Yep. Look at that time, was it Bathurst or they stalled the car?
Let's not go about it.
No, bring it up. Sorry, Gizzy. Right, my bad. But it does happen,
Oh, it does.
It's racing.
And you can stall these cars in the game. Unlikely,
right?
But you can do it.
Yeah.
If you drop the clutch way too quick, the car will just lurch forward and you'll go nowhere. And you have to restart. You got to recycle the car and get it to go again, and then you get you going. So you can lose anywhere between 5 and 10 seconds and all of that.
And then that's you done. There's a 6-second gap right now between Northway and Shield, so let's hopefully Hope Shields maybe drops a clutch too soon and we see a Kiwi. But that's going to be an amazing jump for Shields. If he does get it, there'll be 400 points in the championship out of that, and Northway will pick up. You know, Northway's just got to stay there, really, because I think it's 168 points, so don't quote me. It's around there as far as the championship goes. 180 points for, you know, and that's what it's going to boil down to in 7 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for a championship title fight, so that 7 weeks you've just got to keep banking scores. So because if you don't, then 3K is not in your back pocket. There's actually 2K for second, I think.
Yep, and grand.
Yeah.
Grand for third.
That's big money.
Yeah, so 200 points for first place, and obviously all the points going down to 16th place. So even if you don't finish up the front, you still get some points.
Not to forget all the rides and all the free mammoth that you're going to get.
Yeah, 100%.
I wonder how many O-level rides we're going to get.
You're in the ride home?
Yeah, we should talk about it. No, I'm not driving you to take it in.
Does the code work multiple times?
It's a good point. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, guys, if you are online, you are tuning into the LPL Star Insurance Project Cars Championship. It's the championship number 2. We are here. They are right now driving. All you've got to do is download the Ola app, use it. Let's Ride. That's the coupon you see at bottom left-hand side of your screen. Whoa. Let's Ride, and you get your free trip as Sam Hunter
goes for a trip.
Goes for a bit of a trip. So don't take an Ola with him, whatever you do, all right? Because that's what it is. It's basically, you know, very nice rides, trustworthy people, unlike Sam Hunter. Don't get in his car, unless it was actually arriving in a Ferrari 488. Then I would be all over that. So, where is he sitting on it's 11th?
Not in contention. So we'll just give you a little bit of a reminder of the format. So obviously, this is race 2 here at Mike Perra Motorsport Park, 25 laps. Next week, we head to Zhuhai International Circuit, which is in China.
Someone just punted all the tyres over the place.
It's not good for your front wing. And then for week 3, we head to Japan, to Fuji Speedway, an iconic little circuit out there.
You've been there, haven't you, Simon?
No, I actually went to Suzuka.
Ah, right, sorry.
And Motegi. So week 4 is when they go to Sekito circuit, which is like, it's kind of
a replica, isn't it?
It's like they tried to get Suzuka, but Suzuka were like, no, you can't have our track on your game. So they like just made a track that looks like Suzuka. So there's a few modifications to it, but it's like Suzuka. And then week 5, we're still in Japan, so 3 weeks straight of racing in Japan. And then we go to Sportsland Sugo, which, like I said a little bit earlier, a bit like Teretonga. It's got a big sweeper, some really tight, twisty little sections, and it's a very old school sort of track. So I'm really looking forward to that.
We saw some of those with Brands Hatch and some of the, Le Mans and some of the ones we did last year.
Yes.
And it was so cool to learn about those tracks and learn the history of those tracks. You know, there's God knows how many motorsport tracks around the world. What was the big bank one we went to? Was it Le Mans? I'll put you on the spot, haven't I, Simon?
The big banked one.
The big bank one, don't worry, mate. Matt sitting in 4th position at the moment. All right, so you were saying we got Suzuka, then we round it.
We go to Sugo. Yeah. And that's, we won't give you an idea of what the conditions are going to be like, but they'll be interesting. It's not always going to be dry. It's going to be wet. There's going to be a bit of haziness and a cloud. And then, so for week 6, we go to Dubai Autodrome for 16 laps around there. Big track, big Grand Prix style track. And then for the final, we see Bathurst Mount Panorama, which
Mount Panorama.
I'm
How many
so
laps?
Looking forward to that. 15.
15 laps.
In front of a live audience.
I'm pretty sure that's what we did the first year. Actually, no, we went for, I think, quite a few more. I think we commentated straight for like 4.5 hours that night. No breaks. It was a learning curve, but it was some epic racing. Bathurst, you know, everyone loves it. Everyone wants to practice it. Everyone wants to win it at the 12-hour. You know, there's the Bathurst 1000, or the Super G 1000, I should say, and then there's the 12-hour.
You been there?
No.
Great circuit.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good story, bro. No, look, Simon, you work hard, mate. Velocity News. When are we going to see Velocity go international? Or start covering esports? That's right. That's tomorrow, right? You're going to change the game.
I need some more contributors, mate.
Change the game tomorrow. We are going to see the first press release in Velocity News for esports.
Is that a gaming fund?
Change the game. Oh. There we go. We've still got Shields and Northway out front. Northway 119 or 120, still a massive gap. Now Shields, we have to inspect his stuff because he has a 10-second lead over Robert Northway. And behind that, Monkey Matt, a 16-second lead. That is impressive. All right, Star Insurance Specialists. If you need specialised insurance for your motorbikes, cars, big thank you to Star Insurance for coming back on board with us this year, making this possible. You know, it does cost a fair bit to bring all these guys up to the cool one at the end, the week 7. Is that Daniel Shields?
Oh, that was interesting.
That's really interesting.
Doing some breakdancing down at the final corner. I think there might have been a little bit of a whoopsie there for Daniel Shields.
Oh, yes. Robert Murphy's Law. Northway in the lead.
Oh no, so one of the issues we've had, he's just disconnected.
What do you mean it's just disconnected?
This is one of the
Crashed his car.
This is one of the new things that we haven't actually spoken about before. So last season it was all land-based. So basically all these guys were here at SKYCITY racing alongside each other, all in rigs identical,
Correct,
right?
which is what we'll be doing for the final.
Correct. But Daniel Shields is racing from home in
Australia.
North Lakes, Brisbane in Queensland, and he's just tried to go for the pit lane, but he's found the wall.
Right.
And he's also disconnected at the same time.
So he's kicked something, or something's happened.
So he's dropped out, and we no longer have Daniel Shields in this race.
Yes,
so
Northway has got the lead.
He's got the lead.
And he's only got a 5-second lead on top of Monkey Matt. So Monkey Matt, I'm so sorry, Daniel, I don't mean to be. From Christchurch, look, it's a Kiwi by the look of it, right up there right now.
Interesting thing that we haven't considered.
Right.
When it comes to the points, do you only get points if you finish? Because if you don't finish, do you get points?
Well, it wasn't our fault he hit the pit wall.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, because obviously it says first down to 16th.
16th. So
if he doesn't finish the race, he won't get any points, will he?
Or is he classified 16th, or is he classified DNF?
Well, an interesting thing that they do in real life racing is the 75% rule.
Did he complete 75% of the course?
Correct. So we've done, what, we've just ticked over 18 of 25.
So he's over.
I am not good at math.
No. I'm a fifth form dropout. But, you know, it's okay, guys. Keep smiling, keep trying. I'm going to say we're across 75%, guys. But nonetheless, Daniel Shields, not in the race. We did see this once in the studio last year where the game had to be reset. So don't get the last gun on me. It's all about Robert Northway right now. 5-second lead, 121.397. It's really enlightened the race, and he's got some lap traffic coming up as well, which will hopefully make this 5-second lead just a bit more interesting. Robert Northway on the lead, coming up to 5 laps to go here at Mike Perry Motorsport Park.
I did the math real quick. 76%. He might get it. he might get the points.
How many? 60? 40?
Well, how many have we got on track? So he might have been 13th at the time. I think he gets 60.
Maybe someone pulled the line out in between Australia and New Zealand, you know. But who's the other Australian in with us? You've got
Benjamin Crow.
Benjamin Crow. Where's Benjamin sitting currently? 8th.
Benny.
8th position.
And then obviously Daniel Shields is no longer in this race. Kyle Madden, we look for him. He's currently in P4.
We haven't
actually got that many Australians in this. We've got Jordan McCann. He's from Sydney. Can't see where he is at the moment. He's P10.
We've actually had quite a few, 13, 14, 15, 16, either drop out,
so is that all the
mechanical, or DNF. So real unfortunate for them in race 1. Really unfortunate finish for Daniel Shields, but Well,
he didn't finish, did he?
Well, he's got 200 points though from race 1. So, and if he finishes, that'll be 240. So still a good championship title fight start for Shields. But the man is going to pick up. Where did Northway finish in the first race, dude?
He was in a podium. Third maybe? Third or fourth?
So he's going to pick up potentially,
4th. So he was 4th in that first race.
So
but
352 points.
Could get a promo, depending on a protest.
Yeah. You're going to run that protest tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, mate. I might implore Robert Northway to do that.
Before you do that, take some Mammoth home. Have a Mammoth at the office.
Have a protein fix just before I hit the gym.
It's a job worth doing. It's worth smashing. Mammoth. It's the same on the back.
Oh, it's on the back.
Shake it. Mammoth gave away a Discovery at Big Boys Toys just not so long ago.
A what?
A Discovery.
What's a Discovery? Like the channel?
Land Rover.
Oh, Land Rover.
Yeah, we're going to give away the channel, mate. Land Rover.
A Sky subscription.
Yeah. It's not going very well for them, is it?
No.
Sky Sport, though. Spark's got the new thing going out as well with the sport. But, nonetheless, where you want to go right now is
Sky Sports for the supercars.
Exactly. Scott McLaughlin, Shane Van Gisbergen, Fabian Coulthard, where all the Kiwis are.
Andre Heimgartner, Richie Stanaway.
Jesus. How is Richie doing out of the supercars this year in the new team?
It's really fascinating. I'm a big fan of Richie Stanaway. I think he's really talented. He's obviously a GP2 winner at the Monaco Grand Prix. He's proven he's got the ability.
Yeah. think Simon comes in for his pit in 4th position.
Doesn't seem to quite meld
drops him down to 5th at the
within the
moment.
supercars fraternity at the moment. Like he debuted, won out the first time with Tickford Racing at the Sandown 500, and everyone was like, all right, Richie's in supercars next year, gets in with Tickford, gets the 4th or 5th car on the rank, and it was like, oh, okay, this car's not actually that quick, and he was getting no support. Heads to Gary Rogers Motorsport with support from Boost Mobile. He's had basically, if you compare last year versus this year, every single finish has been better, but he still hasn't quite cracked a top 10 finish yet this season. So I'm looking forward to the day when Richie gets a good top 10. He qualified 7th.
He's a fantastic racer. Look at the
he's brilliant.
Look at the race that he had at Bathurst that year. You know, and did so well.
He was leading.
Yeah, exactly.
For a long time.
And that showed his true potential. There's a lot of amazing races, and did you say this weekend alone in motorsport, how many?
15. 15 at least.
15 Kiwis.
Just circuit.
Going large.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And that's not just New Zealand, obviously. What have you got?
In terms of
what are you covering this weekend?
If we're not doing New Zealand stuff, there's Formula One on, as we see Damien Main go for a little bit of a spin. Supercars this weekend, obviously at Phillip Island, 286 Championship with Peter Vodanovic and Jaden Ransley. I know both of those guys are avid sim racers. Madeline Stewart's making her debut in Super 3. A lot of these young people using simulators, with McElroy and groups like that to get a lot of practice in. Obviously, right. Fabian, Scott, Shane, Andre. Yep. Richie, obviously, in the supercars are racing. Nick Cassidy's racing over in Super GT in Japan.
That's all this weekend. That is amazing.
Mate, there's more. Il Bamber, he's racing in IMSA. Will Bamber, his brother, is racing in Kura Cup with Chris Vanderdrift, and there's heaps more which I've probably forgotten about. I believe Michael Pickens is going to be doing some racing in America soon.
But that's okay, because you can check it all out on velocitynews.co.nz. You can, and you also check out all the results and action from tonight's LPL Project Cars Championship 2, brought to you by Star Insurance. So we are coming down to the nitty-gritty end. 22 laps out of 25 here at Mike Pero Motorsport Park, ladies and gentlemen. If you've just tuned into this beautiful pop-up channel, or if you're on Sky or Twitch, right now we are live. Race 2 of, bit sideways there from Monkey Matt. Here we go. Championship points right here. This is his pit. 120 to 121. He's got a 14-second lead right now. 14-second gap by the leader. He is going to drop down. There we go. He drops down right now. He's now in 3rd position. Northway. Has Northway taken his pit sign? And he's back out. Quick pit right there from Monkey Matt. Where is he going to drop down? Is he? Yes, I hear someone else fly past him. Pluckman may get him on this one. So you do have, obviously, Kyle Madden. Kyle Madden's doing it proud right now for the Australians. He's trying to find it back. He's trying to come back for Daniel. Unfortunately, Daniel out. Here we go, Monkey Matt. Yes, he does lose to Pluckman, unfortunately. So Pluckman picks up 3rd position. Pluck. Daniel, sorry, just Pluck. All right, Kiwi, Australian, and then where is Mr. Pluck from?
Well, it's one apiece, I think, the way we're going at the moment. Obviously, Mr. Daniel Shields got first blood in the first race, but Northway's managed to get one back on him in race 2. We're only a couple of laps away from the finish here. Northway holds a fairly sizable lead now at 15 seconds over Kyle Madden. So we'll keep an eye on Robert Northway, who's coming around exit of turn 2 now. A 1:20.89 seconds, so still pretty close to qualifying times for Robert Northway.
There must be something in the water down in Christchurch, because we've got Christchurch in 1st, we've got Australia in 2nd, Christchurch in 3rd, Christchurch in 4th. Sim racing strong in the Christchurch region.
Yeah.
All right. Northway out on front. The last lap, the white, is it the white flag they put up?
It's coming up. I don't think we're quite on to the last lap yet. We're on lap 24 or 25, so we've still got about a lap and a half to go here. Northway leading by a whopping 15 seconds over Kyle Madden.
Well, what I see here is a lot of these boys further down the championship, they're going to watch this replay, and all I can say is seat time, lads, seat time coming into the next round, because Daniel Shields and Robert Northway have made a stamp, the doctors of the house tonight, that they are the ones that are going to be watched on the championship, and are definitely going to be the ones with the marks on their back coming into round 2 next Thursday night, same place, same time.
So here we go on the second to last lap. It looks like Northway is going to make its final compulsory pit stop. Interesting strategy here.
11 seconds.
Has Kyle Madden
10 seconds.
made his pit stop as well? We'll have to keep an eye on that, because Madden could yet steal the win. Did Madden make the pit stop early as we saw?
I don't know, but he's got 4 seconds to get in and out, or he's going to lose the lead.
I
3
think,
seconds.
I think Madden...
He's doing tires.
Madden's already pit. So that undercut we were talking about a little bit earlier in this race has worked.
Madden just picks up the lead.
Like a charm.
Big change right there.
Wow. So
Australia. Back on the lead. What is it with the Australians?
Madden got taken out at turn 1, pitted early, gets the undercut.
So this is what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
What a tactic.
So he's now got an 8-second lead. What was a 14-second deficit is now a 9-second lead. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him, so he's just got to be careful now. Northway's now dropped back to second. Pluck sitting in third. Oh, a little bit of drama up ahead. Just going to block Madden's path at the moment. Man, these boys not making it easy for him at the moment. He doesn't want to get caught up into any drama between these two back markers as they head through the infield section. Come on, boy, you've got an 8-second lead. You don't want to be out in the weeds and getting the nasty end of the pineapple. Just wait for it, okay?
Love the terminology. Okay, so just explaining here, the guy out the front and the guy champion fighting, that isn't the first and second.
Yeah, so Madden has got the lead. The guys who are ahead of him are a lap down and will actually have to complete another lap basically once Madden gets to the line.
Right.
Northway currently 7 seconds back. He's closing in on that margin, but I think Madden has just realised he doesn't need to do anything too drastic here as he comes round the final corner. It's the last lap here at Mike Pero Motorsport Park. The Aussies have done it. Race 1 and race 2. We thought Robert Northway was going to be the king of Christchurch, but it looks like it's going to be Madden who's going to take out race 2 here at Mike Pero Motorsport Park.
All right, we are done. There we go. First position goes to Australia. Well done though. Hey, it's camaraderie for Daniel Shields, unfortunately coming out of the race. 4 cars not completing that. Robert Northway, good on him. That's a solid start for Northway, and he'll be happy with that after last year's season.
I think he might even lead the championship now because he obviously finished 4th in the first race, and now he's got second.
352 points.
Yeah, a lot of points now for him. So we could see him in the lead. We don't really know what the classification will be for a guy like Shields, who unfortunately disconnected after that crash that he had. So he may or may not get points. We don't really know what the situation is there with him, but we'll have to see what happens at the end of this weekend.
So you've also got New Zealand Simon, obviously in 5th position, so you must be happy about that.
Have to be.
Now, earlier on in the race, you actually said that there could be a protest around, obviously, things as well. So we'll see if that actually comes into play, as we see that the race can stay race complete on most of them, just rounding out the last of the field now.
Yeah, so Benjamin Crow's just going to come around the final corner. He's got a couple of seconds to get round and complete the race. He will finish P9 if he can make it to the line. A bit of a half spin there. Not the way you want to finish the race. And then obviously Jordan McCann from Sydney, Australia, he will complete the top 10.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the presenters booth. So all in all, some great racing there for round 1, round 2. Pretty cool finish on race 2. You know, it mixed it up a little. Great start as well. Highlights for you probably would be that back section. But here you go, ladies and gentlemen, the final board Simon for race 2, Mike Pero Motorsport Park.
So our race winner for race 2, Kyle Madden, leading the way, gets a 7-second win over Robert Murphy's Law Northway. Matthew Pluck picks up the final podium spot in 3rd. Monkey Matthew Smith, hailing from Auckland, he picks up P4, and Simon Bishop down in P5.
Dave Stone picking up 6th position. Motorised Kiwi in 7th position. We saw some earlier on tactics from him and some good racing, but dropped down further. NSG Benning getting a bit sideways coming out of the section on the last laps. Damien Main in 9th position, and George Star in 10th.
Cool, rounding out 11th and 12th is Sam Hunter and Shane T. And unfortunately, the man who's not on that list is Daniel Shields, who was dominant throughout the entire weekend. Yeah, Daniel Shields still going to pick up some valuable championship points. 7 races across 16 races, 7 different tracks. So it's going to be coming back down to that championship title fight here at SkyCITY Theatre in May. But right now, we're going to go to a quick advert break, and then we're going to have some more of these, and we'll catch you right after that to round out the results.
The Star Insurance Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship is proudly brought to you in association with Playtech, technology at play. Need a ride? Thanks to All Out and Let's Play Live, we are hooking you up. Simply download the All Out app and type in the code Let's Ride to get your first ride free. T's and C's apply. Let's Play Live brings you Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Enlist for battle and engaging tactical and esports action. Test your skill and see how you stack up against the best. Don't miss your chance to stand with the elites. Sign up now at cybergamer.com.
War is upon us.
They might have found another kill. Carly out of position.
And there will be no dialogue.
He's just beyond godlike. The words speak for themselves.
Show no mercy.
It's gonna be a wash.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live in the beautiful Sky Tower, and in just a few weeks' time, the 23rd of May, you can come be part of the grand final in the beautiful Mount Panorama. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the final will be hosted in SkyCITY Theatre with 8 races. It's a cutthroat competition, so you can be here live. Final, you're seeing it on your screen right now. Thursday, the 23rd of May. Tickets are on sale on Monday, and it's only $5 to come along. Lots of epic prizes. So come along, have a night in SkyCITY and at the SkyCITY Theatre, and support the Project Cars 2 Championship, brought to you by Star Insurance Specialists. Simon, epic race. We've just seen epic couple of races. Race 1, highlight. We've got to hurry, so let's do it. We're getting the hurry in there. Good drama. Lots of good drama.
The drama. I think that move there by Robert Northway, a little bit touch and go. I don't know whether you'll try and protest this, but this is the results as it stands at the moment. So looks like we've got Kyle Madden currently leading on 380 points with Robert Northway. He sits second there on 332 there. James Pluck manages to steal third. A really good result for him. He gets 2/3. And then we see Monkey Matt Smith down in P4. Simon Bishop, I think he'll be pretty happy to be P5 considering that bad start in race 1. So that is the top 5. Daniel Shields currently P6. Then we've got Damien Main down in P7. Benjamin Crow down in P8. Dave Stone in P9. And then obviously Motorized Kiwi, our man from last season, Michael Robinson, completing the top 10. But I think the interesting thing, so where's our man Daniel Shields?
That's
only P6.
Daniel Shields P6, so there you go. Picked up first in there in 13, so it does get points. 13th position, P6, 264, so not too bad for the Australian first Australian in 6, but it's New Zealand as well, sitting on those championship points, and the tournament ladder is going to be exactly the same, obviously, for week 1, because it's the same points. Differences are displayed there, though, Simon. Yeah,
48 points the margin there between the two guys at the front of the field. Kyle Madden, I think he'd be pretty stoked, gets the first jump on a guy like Northway, who's obviously had experience in this before. James Pluck, I'm still pretty stoked to see him be P3 considering where he started his races. His qualifying wasn't great, so I think if he can work on his qualifying, he'll be able to get up to the front there. Matt Smith, 88 points back, and then Simon Bishop, 112 back. So if you're anywhere sort of sub 200, I think you're in the danger zone, but you sort of want to be within the 100 zone and you'll be fine.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for us here at the Star Insurance Project Cars 2 Championship live at Sky Tower. It's been pretty epic. Now, if you want to find out more information, get onto the LPL Facebook page. Let's Play Live HQ on Facebook. You can win yourself some of these. Download the Ola app to get your free ride, $20 off your first ride. It's been an epic first championship round. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, there is 7 of these, and they're vying for some big prizes live here in Sky City Theatre. So for now, my name is Brendan White, and this is
Simon
Chapman. And we will sign off this week. See you the same time, same place next week, Thursday, for Project Cars 2 Championship, brought to you by Star Insurance.
This LPL Pro presentation was proudly brought to you by Star Insurance.